The next championship game is at June. There are championship games interspersed with T20 to try and get something into the British summer. Gorvin bowls, it's appeal for LBW, and he's given a big wicket for Andy Gorvin. He's got David Bedingham for just 11, and Durham are 130 for 4. As Bedingham pushed forward, looked relatively innocuous, but up at the finger. And Bedingham has gone for 11, and Glamorgan just edging into profit on the day, you would have thought, after the decision to bowl first, as Andrew Gorvin does join that list of wicket takers. 130 for 4. Enter England captain Ben Stokes.
Durham are not making the best of this track, are they? And this, I hope they're not going to be talking about the one that got away later in the day. Now, they didn't bat as well as they should have done, la-di-da-di-da.
One boundary for David Bedingham in his 11 off 32 balls. That was the last ball of Gorvin's over, as Ben Stokes gets another round of applause. So, will he be in similar mood to last week at Worcester? We shall see. Doing some exercises at the non-strikers end because it's the last ball of the over. So you'll have a chance to look at what Michael Neese is up to for a ball or two. Peterson on 53 and well set.
Here he comes, right arm over, short one. Peterson ducks out the road, goes through to the keeper. So that wicket came 42.6 overs into the 43rd.
Yes, I asked Matthew Maynard about plans for Ben Stokes, and he said absolutely straight-faced. Well, one of the hardest shots to play is a cut for a ball at shoulder high, so he can have 2 at third man and 2 on the boundary at point.
Oh, that's a rising ball from Nisa. And Peterson playing through and underneath it.
Maynard with such a straight face. And even in the post-match interview, I thought, yeah, that's a joke. Sometimes you don't really listen to the answers, but just managed to work that one out.
Nisa again, right arm over. Peterson defends. CM Pearl asks. The 6 didn't show up on Peterson's thing for his 50. The 2 and the 4 overthrows off the stumps.
Yeah.
So he's wondering if it goes in the scorecard as a 4 instead, on top of his 2.
Up to us, the good signal about that one. Oh, I've managed to get stream back on the laptop, that'll help.
Yeah, I lost it there as well. Oh, shortish ball going down the leg side. Peterson looks to hook. And has it come off the bat? It has, it's 4. Just went over the top of the diving keeper.
Ooh. That was the plan, I think. And Peterson only just got away with it. As Chris Cook looked interested, certainly was off an edge or a glove there. 134 for 4. They all look the same in the scorebook.
In comes Nisa again. Peterson plays the ball out through mid-wicket for 1 towards the castle side of the ground. I think that LBW there has hit Bellingham's back leg.
That would be one more reason to give it then.
So it's, you see that frozen it then, it looks, you can see middle stump coming into view as well then. So Nisa in, Finkel end, pushed away by Stokes down towards third man for 1. And a little ripple of applause.
Well, they've got to make the most of him, haven't they? Durham crowd with Ben Stokes. However willing he may be, he's not going to play an awful lot of county cricket, given the extreme demands of his England workload, especially with the captaincy now.
Well, he's in this game, and then he plays next week against Middlesex.
All right, he's playing 3 on the bounce, is he?
Yeah.
Then off to the Test series, starting on June the 2nd. And Andrew Gorvin is going to have the chance in his second first-class game to bowl to the England captain, Ben Stokes, who wanders down the pitch for a little prod. Gorvin, medium pace, right arm, is going to come round the wicket to bowl to Stokes, with the keeper Chris Cook standing up, and Gorvin bowls, and Stokes drives on bounce straight back to the bowler, and there's no run. Quite a test then of Andy Gorvin's fledgling first-class career. His opening first-class wicket was the Leicestershire tail-ender Chris Wright. David Bedingham a step up on that then, as Stokes drives back to him, gets a hand to it, and the follow-through takes the weight off the ball. Might have saved himself 4 runs there, because that seemed to be fairly firmly struck. Stokes 1 off 3 deliveries so far. But playing dimensions, certainly of this central wicket at the Riverside, be something different to those of New Road, which is smallish at the best of times. Gorvin is into bowl to Stokes, so again drives. This time Gorvin doesn't field, but it's stopped at mid-off, and there's no run. Is this the calm before the storm from the England captain? Match position rather different.
Well, can I just add, the boundaries are massive this
Yes,
week compared to last week.
There's making the point there.
They've only got 2 people on the boundary on the leg side, haven't they?
As Stokes hits this one hard down into the covers, well stopped by Labuschagne.
Well, I was saying earlier, when Ben Stokes tried 4 different bats last week, and I asked him if some of them had broken, he said he just wanted to try and see which one was the best. I don't know if he had a number or whatever, but then somebody messaged us, and with a screenshot, those bats are selling at £699 a go. And he had 4 of them lying out there on the boundary.
Yeah, doubt he paid for them.
Oh, well, I know, but...
There you are, if you want a bat like Ben Stokes. Gorvin is into bowl to Stokes, who drives the other one to mid-off, so Gorvin getting his line right so far to the England skipper with 5 balls off the over gone. Sunshine comes out. Mind you, buying one of those bats doesn't quite guarantee that you'll be able to bat like Ben Stokes. I mean, maybe just that you'll look a little bit like it. As Stokes drives on the onside and takes a single to mid-on. In fact, Hogan's misfielded, and they'll go back for a second run. Hand of apology from Hogan. So those 2 runs off the Gorvin over. Stokes is on 3, and Durham on 138 for 4. Marty Cricket or Nick Webb 2017. If you want to tweet us, as Durham Sats has done.
Durham, I was going to say, Dennis Ethan has tweeted the live BBC cricket feed. If you want to do that, it's hashtag BBC Cricket, and he says, I feel too old if the likes of Brendan McCullum are taking over as England's Test cricket coach. Somebody's responded, me too, Dennis, me too.
Well, it's the Doliveras that make me feel old, having seen Basil as a young man.
Yeah. Nisa racing in from the fake line, bowling to Peterson, played off towards the covers. Well, I mean, I saw the start of the careers of the likes of Paul Collingwood. So I'm coming into the team and then retiring. I've seen Graham Onions come and go, Liam Plunkett come and go, the Colonel.
Yeah, it's when you describe people as veterans and then they think, hang on, they're a quarter of a century younger than I am, or whatever.
When you inadvertently realise you're now classed as a veteran. 138 for 4, short one. Peterson lobs it gently over mid-wicket. He was teasing the fielder out there, but it landed safely away.
That's probably Peterson's first miss-hit shot for some time, wasn't it? Haven't got any chances, near chances noted down against his name, but
James Harris is on as a 12th man, and it just cleared him. I think that was a deliberate shot. I think he went for placement rather than distance. Stokes is on. They've dropped the man out towards the square leg boundary as Nisa comes in, right arm over, Stokes cuts it off the other way. No run. The County Championship Twitter feed last week did a highlights reel of Stokes' bludgeonry with our commentary on. And by the end of the day, it had something like 300,000 views on it. And I retweeted it, and somebody said, "Why haven't Worcestershire got any slips in?" And the response was, "He's smashing the ball into the hotel, and you're wondering why there are no slips who wouldn't be involved in the game anyway." He said to Stokes. Stokes forward defends. That was right on middle stump. Ball rolls out to the offside. He could have had players in the stands last week, and they still would have needed step ladders to reach the ball.
Top of the cathedral.
Yeah.
Top of the hotel. Someone in Hereford.
Games. Ended up in the Pheasant pub watching Sunderland playing in the playoffs against Sheffield Wednesday, and Nisa turns to come into bowl. This is defended by Stokes, short in the offside, and Mike Brown, who's a Durham fan who travels all over watching them, he came in and he reminded me that 3 years ago, me and him sat in the same pub watching Sunderland in the playoffs against Portsmouth. So
Deja vu all over again.
Yeah. Sunderland playing in the final a week on Saturday at Lords.
Lords?
Sorry, yeah, I'm at
That'll
Lords.
be a first.
Durham are at Lords, and Wembley's 20 minutes away by tube. So I wonder how many people might catch a morning session at Lords and then shoot off to Wembley in the afternoon. Nisa in, driven by Stokes up to mid-off. And that is the end of the over. It's a dot ball.
Not looking for freelance to cover your duties for
I might be
an
for
afternoon, are
a
you?
couple of hours, yeah. My mate Ken's just messaged me. He's flying in from Bahrain just for the match. And then flying out again the next day. 139 for 4 here. Peterson 59 from 99. Stokes 3 from 11.
Just looking down to check who Nisa's test wickets were, and they were Hasib Hamid and David Milan. But going through that test over by over, not sure whether Nisa would have bowled to Stokes in that match, which Australia won by 275 runs, the day nighter in Adelaide, which is Nisa's only test appearance, and the Australian selectors saying that Nisa's best chance of getting more would be in the Ashes series in England next summer. So Gorman is withdrawn from the attack after dismissing David Beddingham, and Tim van der Hoogten is going to be the man to replace him at the lumby end. I wondered for a moment whether they were going to bring on Marnus Labuschagne to bowl to Ben Stokes. The confrontation round which some of the Durham marketing for this game was based. So we're going to have another hold-up. The umpires are inspecting something at square leg. There's a drain cover that's come adrift or something of that nature. I'm not sure. It looks like it might. Oh no.
It's the ball, have they?
The ball change. Yeah, they're inspecting a box of balls. Glamorgan were earlier unhappy about the ball.
So what over is that? The 46th over.
Yeah, ball change at 139 for 4. So
It's quite late in the day for a ball change. That's normally around about 30, 32 overs, isn't it? Occasionally 36.
There's been quite a few this season, haven't there?
Yeah, there's been a few. Yeah.
So Tim van der Hoogten is going to bowl with a different old ball as opposed to a new ball.
The players are generally feeling, talking to Ned Exley last week, he thinks these batting wickets are a good thing for the game from a bowling point of view. They're going to have to reassess how they try and take 20 wickets in a match. But then the dry weather, the sunshine, all plays a part.
Here's van der Hoogten then to bowl to Peterson up in the block hole, but played comfortably to mid-on, no run.
And then suggestions that some of the players are complaining the seam's too small on the ball, and that's making it more difficult to get wickets. I mean, looking at the likes of Chris Rushworth, who is a very good seam bowler, he hasn't looked the threat this season that he normally does. He won a couple of matches without a wicket.
So did Hogan in Cardiff, which is rare. Van der Hoogten falls the bill for LBW, hit reasonably low down, not out, says umpire Wolf.
His back leg just straight outside the line of leg stump there as it hit him. We were talking about holidays earlier, and Katie was on about school summer holidays designed to cover the farming needs, the harvesting needs. And I said, well, what about Scotland? She's been back on. She said, I don't know why Scotland's are later, but she will speculate, she says.
Van der Hoogten is in, and Peterson will defend. Speculate away, Martin.
It could be because of different types of crops. And she says, for instance, Switzerland still has a random school holiday for the day when potatoes are harvested. She said, oh, it could be because crops need to be harvested and stored before the bad weather, which comes earlier in Scotland. That's a good point.
Yeah, it could be slightly different agricultural demands in Scotland, couldn't it? Because the light's different as well. Van der Hoogten into Peterson, who works it down to fine leg. Single taken. Peterson to 60.
Actually, I've just had a thought.
Get away.
Yeah, they get more daylight than most of the rest of the UK does, because they're so far north with the sun in the north. Even in August, the sun sets in the north there. So they'll have more hours of daylight, so maybe they can harvest earlier. Just a thought.
There we are. On to our Scottish agricultural correspondent. Sure, the BBC's got one of those somewhere, but more relevantly for us, Ben Stokes is taking guard against Tim van der Hoogten, surveying the field and facing up to the Netherlands bowler. Bowls to Stokes outside off stump through low to Chris Cook, ankle height.
No, the half term in October, that was generally for the, we used to call that tiki picking week, and that was when we used to go and pick potatoes on the local farms and stuff. So that was an agricultural harvesty type holiday. I don't know about Whit. Could Whit be tied in with harvests or not? Early summer harvests?
As that's through outside off stump. Stokes playing no shot. Well, it's a religious festival, isn't it?
Whitsunday. Probably tied around farming needs again.
May well have been. 140 for 4. Stokes 3. Peterson is on 60. And the day hangs in the balance.
Oh, Bernard, I cannot read these emails. It's War and Peace again. That's like a chapter of a novel. Come on, how can I do that? I'm trying to look at the computer in between deliveries.
Yeah.
It's just a massive splodge of words there.
Needs to be 2 powers, punchy.
Yeah.
That's why I operate mostly off Twitter.
Yeah. Nisa, start of the 48th over, right arm over, short one to Peterson. It's up in the air, it's a top edge. He's going to get away with it. It bounces just beyond the field, diving at mid-wicket. Ball running away towards the boundary. 1 run. And
once more, Marnus Labuschagne's trousers come down, as they have a couple of times in recent days. I think he needs to pull his drawstring a bit tighter. Dark underwear, exclusively reveal. 141 for 4, Stokes on strike.
Two slips in place. Stokes waits as Nisa comes in, right arm over the short one. Stokes ducks out the right. Right, firstly, Bernard starts with Yorkshire. We mentioned them ages ago, didn't we? It's Yorkshire. Well, mind you, you're probably starting writing this email then. He's only just finished it. Yorkshire, as far as I know, never suffered 1 penny of any financial sanction for what's gone on there, he says. Whether Durham will consider taking the ECB to court is doubtful. I don't think they would for 1 minute. He believes Yorkshire could be on the wrong end of some civil actions in the near future. We shall see. I know there's quite a bit going through the legal system at the moment. In comes Inter again and turned off the leg there by Stokes out towards long leg 4-1.
Just the one. Stokes made it completely clear that he wasn't interested in sprinting back for a second at this early stage in proceedings. It did seem somewhat unusual that Yorkshire got rid of a whole raft of employees, some of whom had precious little to do with anyone who might have been offended by anything that had gone on. Not saying they shouldn't have taken action against someone, but it did seem rather indiscriminate.
This is through to the keeper. No run there. Shortish ball. He then goes into his previous career in the railways and said too many people who live down south don't know what the geography outside of the M25 is. He said he knows of a woman who was working in the railways she lived in Northumberland, who was offered a job instead of a base in Newcastle in Manchester, and the only post available, she turned it down. And the human resources director, as Nisa bowls, that's through the keeper, couldn't understand that her working day would basically be travelling to Manchester and then returning immediately. He had no idea of how long it would be travelling by train, nor the distances involved. His comment was, "What's the problem? They're all in the north," i.e. Manchester and Newcastle. Well, Old Trafford Cricket Ground from my house is exactly 145 miles, so she's a bit further up the A1. So
Slightly London news person who asked someone in Cardiff to pop down to Aberystwyth, 2 3/4 hours drive away.
Yeah. Comes Nisa Bowles, pulled away out towards... where's that gone? It's gone for 4.
Well, there's a plan going on here. They think they can get Peterson out pulling or hooking, but that one was well played by the batter, and it bisected the fielders at square leg and fine leg. A little punch of the gloves between Peterson and Stokes, 146 for 4.
I got a phone call once when I was in the office in Newcastle at the BBC, and it was a lady on a playing desk in London, asked if there was any chance we could scramble a reporter and a camera crew down the A1 because a jet fighter had crashed. I think the crew had ejected safely, but hit a flock of seagulls or something and had come down.
Van der Hoogten to start a new over, bowling to Ben Stokes, who's back on his stumps defending on the offside.
And when she named the type of plane that had crashed, I was thinking, we don't have those types of planes based in the north. And I said, where's this incident happened? And she said it was placed near Manchester, Huntington.
Oh.
Witness, an RAF base down there.
Van der Hoogten, right arm round, in, bowls to Stokes, comes down the wicket and then defends when he gets there, plays to low Shane at cover, no run.
She said it's the Alconbury, that's it. And I said, well, I've only heard of one Alconbury, and that's down in down near Peterborough. And she said, well, it doesn't look too far on the map. And she was looking at an atlas of the UK, and according to her map, we were just a stone's throw away to the north, and surely we'd get down there in no time at all. And I said, well, if you pay me the mileage, I'll happily drive 200 miles for you.
Van der Hoogten in to bowl to Stokes, who's forward, defending to point this time. No run. Was that an ironic cry of get on with it? I heard somewhere in the distance. Ben Stokes, where's last week's form gone? 4 off 18 deliveries. Do you think he's playing the 4-day match or something? So, bit of blue sky, bit of high cloud. Ground bathed in some hazy sunshine as Van der Hoogten is in to bowl to Stokes, who drives back past the bowler. Van der Hoogten gets a hand to it and the ball runs to mid-off, no run.
Bernard adds that some people, in their lack of geography, believe that once you get north of London, every mile past Watford seems like 10 miles. And he said, you and your colleague must have forgotten more about geography linked to your role as cricket commentators than these London types have ever learned.
Van der Hoogten into Stokes, who slams that one through the offside for 4. That's his first blow in anger, really, Ben Stokes.
Ball number 20.
Smashing it away to the cover ropes for 4. 150 is up in the 49th over. So the last 50 took 16.4 overs. Slightly slower than the previous one. 150 for 4. 50 for the first batting point. And is that a sign of something to come from Ben Stokes? Faces up again to Van der Hoogten. Forward watchfully, defending to cover. 150 for 4. Stokes has 8. Peterson has 65.
Update for Radio Newcastle. It's 3 o'clock. Wow, where's the take on? Be updating Radio Newcastle about 4 minutes. Bernard says he's now listening to us on the BBC website because the buffering was annoying him on the live feed. And he said, when Ben Stokes arrived at the wicket to bat, his innings at Worcester last week made me remember the power of Ian Botham, which I witnessed with 2 friends on August the 15th, 1981 at Old Trafford on the Saturday of that test, which was day 3, so that would have been against the Aussies, wouldn't it?
Yep. 81, oh yes.
He said when Botham started his batting that day, after a half hour he had scored only 3 and was being outscored by Chris Tavares, I can't believe that, who only made a slow 79. Once Botham started hitting the ball all over the ground, his century was acclaimed, and went out for 118 he received a standing ovation. And I'm convinced I heard someone say, once he left the field, now back to the cricket. So, there we are.
It seemed like a different game.
Yeah. Is this Lloyd back into the attack, is it?
It is.
Lloyd's brought himself back in and has replaced Nisa from the Finkel end. First ball to Keegan Peterson finds his way down towards long leg for one.
Yeah, Nisa bowling in the shorter spells now. His first one was 6, second one just a couple, and that one was 4.
151 for 4 here on BBC Radio Newcastle, BBC Radio Wales. Martin Emerson and Nick Webb with you. Stokes waits as Lloyd comes in. He's appealing for LBW. He's playing across the line there. Ooh, I tell you what.
Maybe pitched just outside leg stump, looking at it back on the stream, but was certainly going on to hit, I would have suggested.
Worth a shout, but yeah, the fact it pitched on the leg side might be what saved him there. You weren't interrupted by any ghosts last night, were you, while you were asleep?
No ghosts, no ghoulies.
No. Lloyd again comes in and bowls, and Stokes says have some of that as he cracks him through the covers for 4.
Yes, that's
perhaps fractionally short of a length, but not really that much.
No, just lashing that one from the Glamorgan captain away.
You're going to appeal for LBW against me? I'm going to smack you for 4.
Second boundary for Stokes.
He's on 12 from 23. Lloyd in. This is played by Stokes towards the point boundary for 1.
Well, certainly you'd have to go some to hit 6's square of the wicket today, wouldn't they? Because, as we've been saying, they're very long boundaries, square of the wicket.
100 metres up to the pavilion.
Straight, better chance.
Yeah. Peterson's on 66 as Lloyd bowls. Peterson pushes the ball into the covers. No run there. Carlson collects it. Peterson forward to this one, pushes it just beyond point, goes for a quick single. Update for Newcastle. A day 1 against Glamorgan here, who put Durham in this morning. Durham 157 for 4. Keegan Peterson's on 67. It's his second half century in a row, and the South African got to that half century in 89 balls. It included 3 4s. 2 wickets to fall this afternoon. Scott Borthwick mistiming a drive off Michael Hogan's bowling, put the ball straight into the hands of Kieran Carlson at mid-on when he was on 17, and then David Bedingham has recently gone LBW to Andy Gorvin for 11. That brought the England skipper Ben Stokes out into the middle. Stokes is currently on 13, and as I talk to you, Peterson's just driven this one upfield, and that might go for 4, so Durham move on to 160 for 4. And England have got a new coach as well. Brendan McCullum, the New Zealander, has taken over as the England head coach and signed a 4-year deal.
That one just hauled up inside the deep mid-wicket boundary, so as Martin so accurately predicted, they took 3 runs from that, and he's updated the score. And Stokes once more on strike to face up to Van der Hoogten. 2 slips, 5 saving the single. And Van der Hoogten bowls and Stokes defends to mid-wicket, no run.
Paul Bennett's email, he says, as I've always said, Manchester and Sheffield are in the Midlands. He said, even for me, on the brink of the civilised county. Similarly, my mates can't grasp the idea Cheltenham is only halfway to my holiday destination in Cornwall.
Cornwall, yes, that's further down than you expect as well.
Yeah, a lot further.
164, Van der Hoogten is into Stokes, who allows that one to go past off stump. No shot.
When you get out to Taunton, that's far enough south, isn't it? But then it's another hour easy to down past the exit a bit, and then a bit more, and about another half hour down towards Plymouth, and then from there you cross into Cornwall, and you could easily have another an hour and a half, 2 hours in Cornwall if you had right down to the bottom.
Yeah, learnt the delights of the M5 through university commitments. Van der Hoogten in the bowl to Stokes, who plays that one respectfully and defensively back to the bowler. When my daughters went to Exeter and learnt the delight of the M5, which is jammed up on virtually any weekend between about April and September.
Remember getting a flyer from Taunton after Durham were dismissed in about 17 minutes on a Saturday morning in 2016. Pulled onto the motorway at about 12 and then immediately came to a grinding halt.
Van der Hoogten ball doesn't it beat for LBW, not given by umpire Wharf. Stokes playing a little bit false shot there.
My initial thought was it hit him around about off stump, but I'm just wondering on watching that again if it was going down the leg side. Umpire Alex Wolf's explaining his decision making to the bowler, but that certainly looked a good shout.
So, a couple of inquiries against Stokes, who's on 13. Van der Hoogten may be encouraged. Stokes runs it down to gully, and there's no run. So, two reasonably loud appeals against Stokes already. One from Lloyd, another from Van der Hoogten.
This looked like a good tractor baton this morning, and it seems to have changed in nature this afternoon. Having said that, Peterson on 70. What have these two put on so far? 30 in no time at all.
Yeah, looks as though you have to wait for your opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Make sure your timing's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I think there's a case of needing to wait for the ball to come onto the bat here. Lloyd to Peterson. Peterson plays that off the back foot, back past the bowler. Up to mid-off, no run.
Lloyd's stretching foot out there, but maybe cognizant to the fact that a couple of years ago in the first COVID season he broke a foot in a pre-season and missed about 6 weeks, which was most of the season because it was only a 2-month season in 2020. Trying to stop a return drive with his foot. Lloyd bowls. Peterson hits that one hard down into the ground, and the ball just trickles very gently to Carlson at cover.
So that was a leaf floating past our window, a very strange looking butterfly. It's a grey day and it's breezy and cool.
That Glamorgan flag's going to end up in the river at this rate. Really being buffeted round way to our left. Lloyd to Peterson. Sorry, I've nicked your over there.
You did. I didn't want to say anything.
Apologies.
I was trying to be polite, but now you brought it up.
Just clear your throat loudly. That'll give the message. Do you want me to finish it or give it back to you? Okay. Apologies. It's the excitement of having Stokes in the middle. It's gone to my head. Lloyd to Peterson. And he's defending one that kept a little bit low there. There's one or two have not bounced as much as expected. And the slip. Well, it's a first and a fourth slip or a fine gully, depending on how you like to define things. There is a 2-person gap between them in any rate. Hands in pockets until the last minute. Lloyd in.
Shot.
Nice, stylish drive by Peterson. You could put that in any coaching textbook, and it's raced away to the ropes. At cover for 4 runs, 164 for 4 Durham. And Peterson's looking good here. He's moved on to 74 off 116 deliveries. And apart from 1 or 2 mishooks, he's looked pretty solid there.
I've just noticed something.
What's that?
This thing on the wall.
Oh, the sponsors, yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't there before.
As Lloyd is in and Peterson defends. That's because the good folk at Durham have seen fit to stick in a commentator cam. And behind us is a load of adverts, which we, of course, can't personally endorse. If we wanted to or not.
One of them was being removed from the barrier this morning. Great noise.
Yeah, and it's gone up by the pavilion.
It's over there now.
Yeah. So Van der Hoogten to Stokes, and I'll stop commentating.
Tomorrow what I'll do is I'll start eating your lunch, and then about halfway through I'll give it back to you. Is that all right?
That might be good for my waistline, actually.
Was your lunch all right?
Yeah, fine. Very nice.
Tim with 2 M's, Van der Hoogten coming into ball, right arm around from the Lumley end. Played by Stokes off the legs and up towards the square leg boundary. He'll get 2 here. Carlson's chasing after it with Leroux. In fact, they're going to run 3. Long boundaries, so 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. That's 100 metres that way as well, towards the castle.
Pretty wide.
It's probably about 90 metres up to the pavilion and about 100 to the castle. Side of the crowd. Peterson on 74. And the hook comes in and bowls, driven by Peterson out through the covers. Root chases it towards the empty castle stand, and they should get 3 more here. Will he catch it or not? Oh, he slides in, he hits the rope, but the ball stops just inside. They run 3. 2 threes. Now then, ooh, I'm just looking at that on the telly there again, whether or not his knee was on the rope as he patted the ball back. Sometimes difficult for the fielder to know, particularly because they're busy concentrating on just trying to grab the ball.
You see a lot of these instances in Championship cricket, don't you, that probably couldn't be really sorted out without freeze framing the video. And
if it was a test match, they'd be rocking it backwards and forwards, wouldn't it?
You rock and roll that.
Stokes is on strike. They've put Carlson out at deep square leg. Roots at long leg. And they're hitting round the wicket, left alone as it goes past the off stump and through to the keeper.
The double bluff, stick a man out at deep square and then bowl outside off.
David Lloyd has the number 73 on his back. Famous number in these parts. The last time anybody did anything meaningful on a football pitch. Be the 50th anniversary next year. Some of the Sunderland players from the 1973 Cup final have only just received the freedom of the city.
They took their time.
Yeah. I think the manager got it round about when they won it back in the 70s, and then for the players it was more recent and a socially distanced event in the city.
Labuschagne's just wandered over to offer a suggestion to Van der Hoogten, possibly.
Stokes waits as the bowler gives up. What's he done there? He's gone up towards the crease and then thrown the ball away. What's he doing?
This could be a recurrence possibly of that hamstring problem, and if that is really bad news for Glamorgan.
He's going off.
He's felt, I think, a hamstring niggle there, Tim Van der Hoogten, which truncated his game at Derby, caused him to miss the game against Leicestershire, and Glamorgan having a bowler fewer in this match. Now see Van der Hoogten marching off towards the dressing room, and they'll be hoping that that's not the end of his participation in the field in this game. But obviously, having just come back from a hamstring injury, and relatively quickly after just a week out, that is really bad news for Glamorgan. And there's a committee meeting in the middle to discuss how they can cope without one of their 3 main bowlers in this game. Durham at 170 for 4.
So what's he bowled?
9.5.
9.5 overs.
Well, I'm sure they'd have done all the medical checks, but it may well be that Van der Hoogten's hammy has gone again. I'm presuming that's the case, since that's the injury that he's recently suffered. Not good news for Glamorgan. And Manus Labuschagne's going to bowl a bit of seam now in his place, having claimed a couple of wickets with seam at Trent Bridge earlier in the season, but bowled mostly spin since.
So he took 3 wickets last week, didn't he?
He did. That was spin.
So what's he going to bowl here?
Seam.
Seam.
I was told it's the same runner as Nisa, or the same marker that he uses.
In comes Labuschagne to bowl to Stokes. Stokes pushes the ball off towards the covers, no run there.
I'm sure Manus Labuschagne will relish this opportunity anyway to have a crack at the England skipper with ball in hand.
53rd over we're in, aren't we?
Correct.
Comes in and bowls again. It's defended by Stokes.
Glamorgan's bowling attack is looking a little bit light now. Hard work for Hogan in this match.
I was ashamed of the bouncer. That was rather dramatic, and it's through to the keeper. Well, Durham, 2 games in a row. Here against Notts, Liam Travasca's got hit in the head twice and had to be withdrawn from the game, and then couldn't play again for 3 days, I think it was, for the remainder of that match. And then the next game, down at Hove, Chris Rushworth got one on the back of the head. It's quite a nasty looking blow. He managed to bowl 3 or 4 overs at the end of day 1, but then said he really didn't feel the best and didn't play in the game again. He was replaced by Ollie Gibson. So Durham, in those 2 games, a bowler down, having to share more of the workload around the team, and then possibly might have been one of the reasons why they thought about not enforcing the follow-on at Worcester last week.
So David Lloyd then running away from us and bowling to Peterson on 77 not out and driving nicely through the offside. But Glamorgan now do have a sweeper on that pavilion side. Andrew Salter runs round from cover point and they've just gone through for a single. Peterson 78, 171 for 4.
Stu says compare these boundaries today, about 90 metres in one direction and 100 in the other, to the boundaries Durham had for their final group game last year. Needed maximum points against Notts, and when we turned up, my immediate thought was an academy game or a kids game had been on the field, and the boundary rope had accidentally not been left and hadn't been moved, but they had the bare minimum 60 yards in each direction. It was tiny, and they didn't get any batting points.
Lloyd is into bowl to Stokes, who's driving nicely on the leg side, but will just pick up the single. Down to square leg, 172 for 4, Stokes to 17. But at Cardiff, the straight boundaries are short anyway, because that's the makeup of the ground. But there's options on either side, depending on where the strip is. Lloyd to Peterson. And forward comes the batsman, playing up towards Gorvin at mid-on, but Carlson runs over from mid-wicket and intercepts it anyway. 172 for 4.
Katie's been on with an observation about Cornwall, tongue-in-cheek, obviously.
Yeah.
She said, I think the Cornish Tourist Board must bribe the Ordnance Survey to make Cornwall look closer than it really is, or no one would ever go.
Peterson driving but straight to cover, and there's no run.
So it used to take me 3.5 hours on the train from my nearest station in Cornwall to get up to Taunton. 7 hours travelling for a day's cricket is a lot. Yes.
Quite.
It's 7 hours worth.
Lloyd into Peterson, who's forward defending, no run. Glammy podcast suggesting it seemed a gamble to risk Van der Hoogten's hamstring with James Harris available in the squad. Well, they must have been convinced that he'd recovered from it and it was only a 1-week problem.
Chris has tweeted, going back to the Beddingham LBW, he said the umpire took ages to decide on it. It looked like, when I watched it again on the camera, it looked like it hit his back leg.
Lloyd bussing into bowl to Peterson, who chops that one to slip. And Lloyd has his second wicket. Durham 172 for 5. And Peterson's fine innings of 78 comes to a somewhat anticlimactic end as he played a poor shot and just edged it very gently to slip. Labuschagne made the easy catch. 5 down.
Not the best of shots, was it?
It was a bit indeterminate, wasn't it? And he knew straight away that he'd slightly given his wicket away. 172 for 5. 42 partnership between Peterson and Stokes. But these partnerships are sort of 40s, 50s, 60s. It's not maybe what you'd expect given the conditions, as Peterson rightly gets the applause for his innings, but you might have expected something more substantial by now. It really is good to hear such healthy applause at a championship match. Good crowd in despite the cool conditions. Peterson gets the acclaim, but there's plenty more people who can bat to come, but Ned Eckersley and Stokes, a little bit of pressure on this partnership to get Durham heading in the right direction again. So that was the end of David Lloyd's over. He's now 6 overs, no maidens, 2 for 30. And Labuschagne to start a new over with the figures, with having bowled 3 balls of Van Docten's over. Netherlands international having gone off through injury. So now Labuschagne against Stokes. It is the marketing staff's prediction.
Durham 172 for 5 here. They've got to be thinking of at least 350 on this track. Anything less and they've let themselves down, you'd feel. Labuschagne bowling here. Got 99 on his back. Is that his favourite ice cream?
Could be. The only significant number I know about in the Glamorgan squad is Van Docten's 64 in honour of the late Philip Hughes.
Labuschagne bowls. That skips through to the keeper. Takes an awkward bounce before Chris Cook can take it. Phil Hughes was meant to come here one year, and then news got out about it, and I think it was Middlesex came and hijacked the deal instead. And then they got all the bad publicity. Must have been about 2005, ahead of the Ashes, was it? Short one comes in, and Middlesex were then accused of hiring an Australian batsman just before an Ashes series in England, and accused of treachery of the highest order.
Yeah, well, Labuschagne profited in the last Ashes series off the back of season with Glamorgan.
It's a short one. Stokes ducks out the road of it.
In the 2019 Ashes series. But when he came to Glamorgan, he played, I think, a handful of tests and certainly wasn't a shoe-in for the Australian side.
Who was that?
Labuschagne.
Oh, well, yeah, it was Steve Smith and got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, it didn't start the series inside.
Yeah. Labuschagne bowls again, and this is played by Stokes off towards the point boundary for one in front of the pavilion. Yeah, because Steve Smith ended up injuring. Did he get a head injury?
Yeah.
And so he was first concussion substitute.
He was a concussion sub, who then
at Lords
went on to great things.
Cement number 3.
Eckersley wearing 66. That used to be Billy Root's number as well as Joe's, until Billy got fed up with the joke quicker than Joe did.
Last ball of the over. Ned Eckersley's the new batsman, by the way. Did we mention that?
Yes.
We did, good. That is defender.
I'm sure Labuschagne will relish this opportunity, relishes the opportunity to get involved in a conceivable manner on a cricket field, whether that be batting, bowling, fielding, offering opinions to the umpire, offering opinions to a teammate. So Stokes on strike, and Lloyd to continue. Having taken 2 of the 5 that have fallen so far, David Lloyd. It's a slip and a gully. Lloyd bowls to Stokes down leg side, lowish. Well taken by Cook, tumbling across to his right.
BBC reporting concerns about a fall in the standards of behaviour in cricket in Cornwall. We've just been mentioning how far Cornwall is.
All right.
Might have to have a look at that one and see what the crack is.
Lloyd into Stokes down leg side. Stokes pokes vaguely at it, but does play a serious shot through to Cook. Yes, I've got rather unhappy memories of cricket in Cornwall. Did a university tour based in Newquay. I drank slightly less than many of my teammates on that tour, but got done by a dodgy Cornish pasty. As Lloyd balls, and Stokes plays that one away, forcingly off the back foot. Will pick up a single out to Root, sweeping on the cover boundary. 174 for 5.
Did the pasty come back in off the seam at you?
The pasty was for lunch and then reappeared in instalments during the course of the afternoon, as the 12th man was required on several occasions. 174 for 5. Eckersley takes guard the first time at the far end, and Lloyd with 2 slips. Bowls, well, that's gone through quite low outside off stump. That's not for the first time at that end.
Cornwall's cricket authorities have said the bad behaviour of some players this season is causing them concern. The Cornwall Cricket Board, League and umpires have issued a joint statement condemning the rise in ill discipline. The statement said people are being intimidated online as well as in games.
What?
What?
Lloyd to Eckersley with a short mid-wicket in, and driven nicely through the offside. There'll be a bit of a chase for Harris. Should stop it inside the boundary. It's a comfortable 2 to get Eckersley off the mark. 176 for 5.
Sounds like a plot line from the Midsummer Murders. We were discussing that last week on air. There was 2. There've been 2 Midsummer Murders.
It was the one by Bowling Machine, wasn't there?
Yeah, was that at the 5 tournament?
Oh, yes.
Wormsley. There's been 2 episodes of Midsummer Murders involving murders of cricket players at cricket matches.
As Lloyd is in to bowl to Eckersley, 2 slips and a short mid-wicket. Eckersley defending to point no run.
This game is a contest in which intimidation of opponents, inappropriate banter, sharp practice and offensive language have no part, the statement said. Unfortunately, this season has already been marked by a number of incidents that suggest general standards of behaviour in the game are now below the level with which we, the Cornwall Cricket Board and Cornwall Cricket League and Cornwall Association of Cricket Officials, are comfortable.
Good heavens.
There's a lot of them.
Yes, I wish I witnessed some ill discipline on a cricket field this season, but it was from one of the opponents towards a teammate who was umpiring at square leg and gave him out stumped.
You over from Labuschagne. Oh, we're stuck on. Stokes has gone after him and he's thick-edged this over the top of the keeper in the slip corn for 4. Well, where Stokes is looking and where the ball went are 2 completely different directions.
That could have gone absolutely anywhere, wasn't it?
Cornwall Cricket told BBC Sport issues are more common in matches where independent umpires are not available, as some players feel they can get away with bad behaviour towards a club official or a player who is officiating.
Well, yeah, this bloke, yes, took extreme exception to being given out stumped, I can tell you. And luckily, none of our side was involved in the contretemps.
Well, my mate Neil, you will know Neil. Anybody who shops at a certain supermarket will know Neil, as Labuschagne bowls to Ben Stokes. He is the policeman who has been on the door of a certain supermarket chain for years now.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cardboard cutout
yes.
chap.
So, Neil's actually coming tomorrow. So, I think the original photograph was done as a student project for a photography study or something like that. In it comes, bowls. Oh, and Stokes rocks into that ball and then guarded off down towards 3rd man for 1. And then it ended up in a police magazine a while later, and then on QI on BBC TV. So it's had a life of its own, this picture. And then it's the supermarket chain, Morrison's, other supermarkets are available. They put them up. So in our local store, they had a life-size cardboard cut out of Neil on the windows as you approach one set of doors to go in, and another at the far end. And during the coronavirus lockdown, they even put a mask on him. 181 for 5, Labuschagne to Eckersley, played off towards point no run. I think though, certainly at our local one, he's gone now, and I think it's started to disappear around the country. But it was a deterrent and a crime deterrent. But Neil was an umpire in the County Durham area, and as a serving police officer, he packed in being an umpire because he said he had enough to deal with on a weekend, on a night time when he was on duty at work, without having to deal with the same sort of stuff on the field. Labuschagne bowls. This is by Eckersley on the off stump. He's breaking up fights in the middle of cricket matches and that kind of thing. But he has since returned after probably the best part of a decades of not being an official. He's just done his umpire's exams and returned recently. So it'll be interesting to hear as the season goes on whether the standards have improved or deteriorated or are pretty much the same. Labuschagne to Eckersley. Eckersley pushes this towards mid-wicket, and Carlson dives on top of it, no run. That is the over. Bright sunshine. There was a 4 at the start, at streaky 4 at Stokes. Screwed over his own head, and then a single. And Durham are 181 for 5. Stokes has 24. Eckersley 2. Then to go today, Dixon for 5. Lees for 44. Lees put on 62 with Peterson. Borthwick went for 17. Beddingham for 11. Peterson's just gone for 78. Caught in the slips off David Lloyd by Marshall Abershane. He put on 42 for the 5th wicket with Stokes. And now Stokes and Eckersley are together. They've put on 9 so far. And Tim van der Hutten has also gone off for Glamorgan midway through his 10th over when he stopped running, took the ball down on the floor, got his cap and wandered away.
Yeah, maybe the last of him we see in the field in this game. Ben Stokes faces up to the Glamorgan captain David Lloyd, who plays an expansive looking drive, hitting the ball hard down into the ground, bounces up to the bowler, no run. And Stokes played a couple of forcing shots, but that edge over the top of the slips was the first we've seen of anything that might resemble last week's intent. As he faces up to David Lloyd, bowling right arm medium pace around the wicket, and Stokes comes down the wicket and on drives for 4 runs.
Decapitates Ned Eckersley in the process.
Aggressive intent.
Did
but
that hit Eckersley's helmet?
Not sure. Eckersley certainly ended up on the ground, but it was going down anyway, I think. I presume if it hit on the helmet, they'd have called for a new one. No, I don't think so. But it was a bit aerial, that. And if
the replay just hasn't gone back far enough there.
If it had been a little bit wider, then Nisa would have been interested, but it was a very straight hit. Stokes moves to 28, 185 for 5. Comes down for a little bit of a prod.
Paul Bennett's been back on with an email, the toss. He says it's looking like bad decisions at Gloucester and Warwickshire, with Somerset and Northants making hay, and Leicestershire struggling against Sussex. I'll go through the scoreboard in a moment.
I'm currently watching the Glamorgan captain bowling to the England captain, who's on 28 not out. That's his 4th boundary, 185 for 5. Lloyd into Stokes, who slams that one through the offside, and that's 4 more. And Stokes starting to ramp up the momentum of this innings with consecutive boundaries.
Northants put in by Warwickshire in a 257 for none.
That really is a bad decision to insert.
Will Young, the Kiwi, who was with Durham for a few games at the start of last season, 102. Ricardo Vasconcelos, 136.
Lloyd into Stokes again, keeper standing up, and Stokes on the back foot jabs this one away on the offside this time. Root, the cover sweeper, will be able to field, so that's 9 off 3 balls for Stokes, who moves up to 33, 190 for 5.
So round about this week last year, what was the date? Yeah, 13th of May. Durham played Worcestershire here, and Cameron Bancroft was meant to be playing in that game, but had arrived late, so Will Young stayed on for an extra match and got a century against Worcestershire. And a year later, he's got another one today.
Lloyd into Eckersley, who drives nicely into the offside. Harris is off in pursuit, just a single out this time. Eckersley to 3, Durham to 191 for 5.
Surrey 190 for 3 against Kent in Beckenham. Oh, that's always a run fest, isn't it?
Never been there.
We were there last year and it was absolutely boiling hot. And we were in a little marquee. Got up, sat down, nothing worked. The scoreboard was broken, the Wi-Fi wouldn't work.
I've heard that from other people about Beckenham as well.
We couldn't get confirmation of the teams.
Lloyd into bowl to Stokes, who defends to mid-on.
And it was just stiflingly hot. And through the hedge out the back of us, you could hear these footballs studding around, and that was Crystal Palace's training ground, so they were training. It was about an hour before we managed to get the Wi-Fi working, and you know, the scoreboard started to click into life. I think we were told the main scoreboard had been damaged in some storms that winter, but it's as you're sitting there looking at the ground, it's a big sports field, quite a big pavilion area at one end, and there's a lot going on around there. To the left of you, there's a big indoor training barn, which looks like a giant ice rink. That's where Crystal Palace train indoors.
Right.
And then just behind them, there's the transmitter, Crystal Palace transmitter on the hill.
Yeah, I think Ed Bevan covered a T20 game there that was pretty last ball, one run in it, and no one was quite sure what was going on with the facilities there.
It was the ultimate anxiety dream. It's dropped down towards third man by Ned Eckersley for 1. Billy Root chases after it. Off the bowling of Labuschagne. I remember driving down there and I was trying to get my head around where exactly Beckenham was, and then because I've got some friends in Eltham and I stayed with them when I was working at 5 Live a few years ago, and suddenly I'm just passing the top of Eltham High Street not far from Greenwich, and the sat-nav says I've got about another 2 miles to go, and I can't believe how close this is to Eltham. Labuschagne to Stokes. Stokes defends, goes back to the bowler. And then I was at the hotel, and I was thinking, something looks familiar about this. When I looked on the map, we were right next door to Millwall's training ground, and when Dennis Wise became Millwall's player manager in 2004, and he brought in Ray Wilkins as his right-hand man, can you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to interview the two of them for 5 Live. Oh, Stokes has been hit here, and has he boxed himself there? He's looking to pull one from Labuschagne.
That might have been fairly central, judging from Stokes' reaction, and
think so.
Eckersley is calling for a drink. Well,
picks himself up, he dropped his bat, he tried to pirouette on a short ball, and he's edged it down into the box area, and immediately went down. He's picked himself up now, he's just checking everything's there, but having a little jog around just stings, doesn't it? And it's that sickening feeling in the pit of your stomach you can't do anything about. Anyway, hope he gets.
Be interesting to see who reacts to that one.
He's ready to face another one from Labuschagne. Right arm over from the Lumley end. It's a short one. Stokes helps it on its way past the slip forward for 4. Nicely done. He just stepped back, gave himself a little bit of room. There's only one slip in place in David Lloyd, and he guided it off the face of the bat beyond him. And fine of 3rd man. Nice shot for 4. Where are they playing? Leeds. Lancashire 185 for 2 after Yorkshire goes to field. Stephen Croft at 80 and Keaton Jennings, the former Durham man, has 86. Sun is out here in Chester Street. Labuschagne to Stokes, who pulls that one to short mid-wicket, no run. Good diving stop there by Sam Northeast, one-handed. Somerset against Gloucestershire and Bristol. Somerset 226 for 3. Worcestershire are playing Derbyshire and Derby. They're 194 for 2. Leicestershire 155 for 8 after they chose to bat against Sussex in Leicester. Labuschagne again to Stokes. Slower ball. Stokes waits and just dabs it away to point for 1. And he'll keep strike as well. He moves on to 38. And Durham are a run away. If it clicks over, when it does, click over. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It's frozen. It's got a dot ball for the final. Oh, there we are, right. Durham are now 3 runs away from their first batting point. Notts are playing Middlesex at Lords, and Notts are 215 for 4.
Yeah, so only Leicestershire against Sussex are really struggling with the bat at the moment, and yeah, Leicestershire were dominated by Glamorgan for most of their recent encounter in Cardiff. As Glamorgan are going to change the bowling, Lloyd is coming off, and Michael Hogan is going to have a blast.
Paul asks this question. We were talking about Labuschagne bowling spin last week in seam today, and he said, I wonder why more bowlers don't bowl both spin and seam. He said, because many start as one before changing to the other. So was Greg, and both of them spring to mind as exponents at the top level. Perhaps it's more difficult than it would seem. What is the view in the commentary box?
You're asking the wrong man here, not being able to bowl anything realistically. Sobers, Greg and who?
He said both.
Both of them? Don't recall both of them.
I can't remember both of them bowling spin, no.
Anyway, Michael Hogan is going to bowl some fast medium, and he's going to be bowling it to Ben Stokes, who drives Denise at mid-off, no run.
He also says Neil is still on guard at his local supermarket, and could he wear a police hat while umpiring? Bernard says he's changed channel. Bernard. And he sent War and Peace while doing it again.
War and Peace 2. I'll wait for the tea until maybe.
Yeah.
Hogan, right arm round to Stokes. Starting to open up. It's a shorter ball that he chops away well. He's played that nicely between 2 fielders on the offside. Billy Root runs round from deep cover point and cuts off just inside the boundary, just backward of square. And they'll go through for 2. Stokes to 40 of 58 balls. Starting to motor. 199 for 5. 1 run for the batting bonus point. Just under 1 slip now for Hogan to Stokes. Down leg side, pushed away by Stokes. Comfortably to mid-wicket. Go through for a single, and the applause is for Durham's 200 It's come up in the 60th over. So the last 50 has come off 9.4 overs. Or thereabouts. A batting point for Durham, a bowling point for Glamorgan. Eckersley on strike. Hogan bowls, forced through the covers. That'll be 4. No need to chase that. Nicely timed by the Durham wicketkeeper. Hogan will be disappointed with that one, just dropping a fraction short. Eckersley finding the gap. He moves 8. The total to 204 for 5. There's a bit of sunshine breaks through, but still a stiffish breeze. 204 for 5. Durham, having been put into bat by Glamorgan. 2 wickets to Lloyd, 1 apiece to Nisa, Gorvin and Hogan. As forward comes Eckersley to defend. No run. Van der Houten off with what we believe is a recurrence of the hamstring injury. So Hogan, 2 steps for Eckersley, but oh, that one's nearly got through as the ball has just dropped down right at Eckersley's boots and should sign of spinning backwards, so he had to react quickly to keep it away. 204 for 5 at the end of the over are Durham. How many overs still to see? 4.
Oh no, sorry, yeah. Where are we? 36. Is that only 4?
4. 4 overs still to.
Wow, that's taken me by surprise.
So that'll be...
Still feels really early in the afternoon.
Just after 4 o'clock. Well, it's the excitement of watching Stokes bat. Makes the time go quicker.
Peter Miller's been on. He's obviously finished counting chickens today and recovering free-range eggs from the garden. He says it's been mentioned, but Graham Wagg would bowl both spin and seam in the same over in the last few years at Glamorgan.
Yep, that's true. Wagg now doing his stuff for Shropshire.
Wishing to continue with Stokes on 41 from 59. Right arm over. Stokes drives hard at that one. He's got it out through the cover area. There is a fielder out there. He'll only get the 2. Stu's made a very good point here on Twitter. He says, how many cricket clubs are there in midsummer and why would any sane cricketer join a club with such a high murder rate? The local cricket board surely should get involved. I'd suggest banning any murderers for at least 6 games.
There was one in Death in Paradise as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, we got a message about that last week as well. The cricket grounds on the beaches of Labuschagne bowls to Stokes and it was going down the leg side and then it nips back in. Stokes does not for a shot. Whacks into his leg and sort of hit his thigh.
At least he didn't try and run.
Yeah, dead ball.
Rolled down to fine leg. No shot played. Can't run a leg by.
There was a gambler involved in one of the Midsummer Murders cricketing things. There was match fixing going on and spot fixing and whatnot. And then in the middle of all the carnage, somebody who'd been missing for 20 years turned up. Labuschagne again to Stokes, played up to mid-off. In comes the ball, played by Stokes, out into the covers, no run there. See, Wolves held their own against Man City last night for about a minute or 2 before it all went peak-pong. Labuschagne to Stokes, defended. Off it goes to mid-off. When does the football season end, is it?
Does it end?
Is it the
around
FA
about the same
final
time
this
as the
weekend,
apocalypse? Yeah, I think so.
Presume all the other teams got games as well this weekend.
When hell freezes over.
Yeah. Isn't that a village in Wales? Isn't there a village called Hell somewhere? Labuschagne to Stokes. This time he plays it off towards mid-wicket. No run there. North East comes across to collect. Is there a village called Hell somewhere?
Not that I'm aware of. Football season, FA Cup final, 4:45 Saturday. Chelsea-Liverpool, Scottish Premiership at lunchtime. Championship, it's presumably playoffs. League 2, da-dee-da.
I've searched hell location and it's come up. The Bible gives the location of hell. It is inside the earth. Ephesians 4.9.
9 circles or whatever.
What country is hell in? There is it's in
Norway, isn't it? Yeah. So it'll be Hogan starting you over to Eckersley, after which I'll have to depart and do a radio update. Hogan is in and Eckersley pushing forward. Looked to be a bit of bat involved, a bit of a howl mainly from behind the stumps, nothing from Hogan. Eckersley 8 off 13 deliveries. Stokes moved on to 43. A few aggressive shots, but a lot more cautious relatively than last week. Hogan to Eckersley, defends to point, no run.
I don't know the work of the singer Will Young, but apparently he's had a song called Evergreen or something.
I'll take your word for it.
And Will Young, the batsman, didn't know the work of Will Young either because he's not big in New Zealand, but at his initiation ceremony in Essex last year at Chelmsford, he had to sing Evergreen in the
style
in the restaurant.
Here's Hogan to Eckersley. 2 slips. Eckersley defends to point. Apparently, as well as being in Norway, my former colleague Lawrence informs me that it's a coastal town in Poland. So at least 2 hells.
It's also a cycle race, Paris-Roubaix, the hell of the north.
And a Chris Rea record.
Motorway to hell. Got the road to hell, wasn't it?
Hogan to Eckersley, again defends it on the offside. Again, there is no run.
Do you ever watch Gone Fishing with Bob Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse?
I can't say I do.
It's such a really good watch because I've got absolutely no interest in fishing at all, but it's just the scenery. They're always on these lovely rivers and it's just the gentle pace of the show and the cinematography is fantastic and the crack great.
Much like one's commentaries, apart from the cinematography.
Yeah.
Hogan is in to bowl and driven nicely by Eckersley. Carlson chases it up towards the long off boundary. I don't think he's going to haul it in, or is he?
Oh,
he nearly got his hands to it.
He did the hard part.
But the ball carried on its trajectory, as did Carlson, and it is 4 runs to the Durham keeper.
He got a hand to it, but he was off balance and he tried to right himself. He then fell over the rope. The ball went with him. Yeah, the reason I mentioned it was their Christmas special. They went fishing on the tees up in the Durham Dales, and then they went for a meal at a lovely pub.
As Hogan is into bowl to Eckersley, who flicks that away on the leg side. More runs here. Will it be 4 more? Root is the man in pursuit this time, but the ball will win that particular race out to the square leg boundary. So back-to-back 4s for Ned Eckersley, and he moves on to 16. The total is 214 for 5. Good applause for everything at the moment, and we have got 2 overs until the tea interval. First of which will be bowled by Marnus Labuschagne, I think, to his Ashes rival, Ben Stokes.
Yeah, so this they did 2 Christmas specials. The first one was they went to this pub down near Yarm, just off the A19, lovely country pub, and Chris Rea came and he was their guest. And he started describing all of the illnesses and ailments he's had, and he said more or less he's amazed he's still here, but just as he was making it big in the music world and brought out his album in the early 90s, he was diagnosed with one form of cancer, and there's been all kinds going on since then. But he's still there.
Is Labuschagne turning to spin?
Looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, same bowler, same action, but different sort of delivery by the couple he's tossing down towards Carlson.
It's like 2 bowlers for the price of 1. What's he going to bowl? A bit of
leg spin.
Bit of leg spin, isn't it, at the back of that? Here he comes, bowling to Stokes. The ball's gone down towards gully area, and Nisa couldn't get it, and it runs away.
That was not.
Stokes was watching where the ball had gone there, and Eckersley was virtually touching him by the time he realised he needed to run. Yeah,
if Nisa had stopped that one clearly, then Eckersley might have been in trouble. Radio duties call me. Okay. Speak after the tea interval.
Comes in again. This is whipped away by Stokes out through deep mid-wicket 4-2. Good diving, stop way out on the boundary over there. Shane in again, balls. Ball played back to him along the ground. 2-2 dot in this over so far. Durham 218 for 5. Stokes on 47. Broke the record for the fastest 100 for Durham last week in 64 balls. Made 161, hit 17 sixes, English record. And then in the second innings, Sean Dixon got to his 169 balls, and that was the second fastest 100 for Durham, because previously it had been Paul Collingwood's 75 ball knock at Taunton in 2005. Low Shane again. Stokes pushes the ball up towards long on for 1. Eckersley on strike on 16. Full toss to Eckersley, played it to mid-on. End of the over, 219 for 5. The bus has arrived back to collect whoever it was dropping off this morning. Presume something going on at the athletics track behind us. So Ben Stokes, 5,061 runs in 79 tests. He's got 11 test hundreds. This is 158th first-class match. So 20 first-class hundreds. For Durham, he's had 9 centuries in 17 50s. He's on 48. And he is going to face Hogan. Hogan coming in right arm round from the Finkel end. Turned by Stokes out toward mid-wicket. And, 1 run. Doesn't come back for a second, just the 1 run. The 66th time in first-class cricket he's got there. Oh, Eckersley plays at a daisy cutter. It misses here. He's off stump and goes through to the keeper and takes the keeper by surprise. Stokes so far has hit 6 fours in this inning of 49. Eckersley at the other end is on 16 from 20 balls, and he has hit 3 fours. Hogan comes in to bowl to him. Last over before tea, that's defended. 3 balls to go before the break. So they'll be off for 20 minutes, so they'll be back just after 20 past 4, about 23 minutes, 24 minutes past 4. And then, in theory, the day's play should finish around about 6:30, but it might stray a little bit beyond then, as it often does. Final session's meant to be 2 hours long. Hogan to Eckersley, comes in and bowls. Eckersley defends on a length around about off stump. Two balls to go then. 220 for 5. Update for Eddie Newcastle very shortly as Hogan bowls. Played up to mid off to Carlson by Eckersley, no run. Yes, McCullum, a former Glamorgan player as well. You've joined us right on tee, and a lovely 4 from Ned Eckersley takes him up to 20. Durham 224 for 5 at tee. Ben Stokes is on 49 at the other end, and their partnership's just gone past the 50 mark as well. 52 runs in 60 balls. Stokes had a few deliveries to get going, and then he's hit some pretty hefty fours. He's also been whacked in the box by Marnus Labuschagne, the Australian, who had to come into bowl after Tim van der Houten walked off midway through his 10th over. We believe he's probably suffered a recurrence of a hamstring injury. Durham then lost Borthwick for 17, Bedingham for 11, and Peterson for 78 in the afternoon session, and at tea they're 224 for 5.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back for this third and final session of the first day between Durham and Glamorgan. Proceedings have been temporarily delayed by another inspection of the ball, and it looks like we've got a second ball change of the innings. Durham will resume very shortly once the umpires are satisfied on 224 for 5, with Ben Stokes on 49 not out for the England captain of 71 deliveries, and Ned Eckersley going nicely at the other end, 20 off 24, and they have already got a half-century partnership to their name. Glamorgan are a bowler down. Tim van der Hoogten off with what looks like a recurrence of hamstring trouble, and Glamorgan, having used Marnus Slabbershane to bowl a bit of leg spin, turned to off spin in the form of Andrew Salter. Will be bowling to Stokes from the Lumley end for this first over after tea. So we're heading for around a 6:30 finish.
Yeah, ish. Oh, what's happened there? Oh, somebody's walking behind the side screen. Paying no attention whatsoever to what's going on. A number of people walking behind the side screen, and the umpires then decided the stumps at the bowler's end on straight. Salter then to Stokes. Stokes turns this one up to mid-wicket. The bowler was convinced he'd beaten him there.
Salter's an optimistic chap, but that was pushing it a bit.
He got plenty of bat on that from what I was watching there. Comes in again. Stokes plays this towards Kieran Carlson at mid-off, no run there. So far he has faced where are we? 73 balls. Ball comes in again. Played upfield, and there's his 50. Missed by Carlson, who looks like he might have hurt himself. 74 balls for Stokes and 6 fours.
Positively pedestrian compared to last week.
That's the 66th time he's got there in first-class cricket.
A couple of LBW appeals against him early on. Top edge over the slips, and a hit of mid-chips from Labuschagne, but has looked pretty aggressive at times.
So it's taken him longer to get 50 this week than it did to get 100 last week. Defended by Eckersley off Salter. Bowler's titty-ting trying to stop going down the track. Salter again playing a miss from Eckersley into the keeper's gloves.
Yeah, Salter with 10 wickets this season, and 7 of them were in the Durham second innings in Cardiff.
Well, that was the final morning when they came out and decided to slog, and they lost 6 wickets for next to nothing, wasn't it? 32 runs or something. Eckersley with a single out through mid-wicket.
Yeah, claimed the 7 wickets on that occasion, and 6 of those were within the first 50 minutes of the final morning. So Stokes to yet another 50, but will kick on and make this the substantial total that Durham have looked like they ought to get for most of the day, but just losing wickets when they seem to be putting a partnership together. This one is already past the half-century mark. And Michael Neser will be bowling his 4th spell. The board trying to confuse me by putting Hogan up temporarily. So going to be 40 just to change, I presume. Neser is in to bowl outside off stump, and Eckersley allows it to go through. No shot. So this is Neser's 4th spell. First one was 6, the second one was 2, and the third one was 4, which might be the way to go for Glamorgan to get maximum value out of Neser as a strike bowler. But it is going to be pressure on Neser and Hogan, with Van Hoogten off the field through injury. Neser then in, bowls to Eckersley, who's on the back foot and looking to pinch a single, which wasn't quite there because Billy Root was moving round from a wide mid-on position to field behind the non-striker, and Stokes all of a sudden thought that Eckersley might be calling him, but probably a good job that he didn't, because it was to Root's left. Neser has the ball handed back to him. 2 slips, Neser in, bowls, and Eckersley went on the leg side, but straight to Harris, the substitute fielder at mid-wicket, and there's no run. 226 for 5. Stokes on 50, not out. Eckersley is on 21. The ball is handed back to Nisa by Kieran Carlson. Nisa in, bowls, and Eckersley plays that one gently down towards root at mid-on. Again, there is no run. So the men out today: Dixon for 5, Lees 44, Borthwick 17, Bedingham 11, and Peterson for 78. As Nisa is in to bowl, and there's a appeal for a catch behind, and he's gone. So Nisa gets his second wicket of the day, and Ned Eckersley's bright little cameo of 21 turns out to be no more than a cameo. And we continue the pattern of several of these Durham middle order players getting in and then getting out again. Eckersley goes, caught, Cook, bowled Nisa 21. It is 226 for 6. We're in the 66th over, and a reasonable day's work for Glamorgan so far, albeit Durham with still the England captain at the crease, Ben Stokes, and power to add, and the likes of Rain and Cars, Potts. Applause from Eckersley, but he is now making his way back the steps towards the dressing room, and Glamorgan have a second bowling bonus point. Lawrence points out that all the counties having problems with balls. It's probably because they're all centrally supplied. Some time ago, counties used to use a variety of different suppliers, so it was a bit more random. It's probably good that they're centrally supplied. Makes the conditions more uniform as long as they get it right. As we have the combination of two left-handers for the first time in the match, as Ben Rain comes in at 8 to join Ben Stokes. So 2 lefties, 2 Bens, and Nisa with his tail up is into bowl, and shortish ball just back of a length that Rain plays well, gets on top of, plays down into the gully, and there's no run. 226 for 6 at the end of the over, and that is a wicket maiden from Michael Nisa, who now has 2 for 25 in 13. 4 maidens included in that one, as Martin retreats to update BBC Radio T's listeners. So what has Stokes got left up his metaphorical sleeve? 50 off 74 deliveries, 6 boundaries, reasonably aggressive but not overly so. He'll be facing up to Andrew Salter, bowling his off-spin from the Lumley end. And Salter tosses that one up, tempts Stokes to drive, and he does drive, but all along the ground up to long off for a single. Stokes to 51, 227 for 6. As Durham were put into bat by David Lloyd. Looked a decent condition on the decision on the overheads, but and the green nature of the pitch, but the pitch hasn't provided much help. Salter bowls and Rain drives back the bowler, and there's no run. Keeper, of course, standing up. Lloyd crouching at Sepp just behind him. As forward stretches Rain and defends on the leg side. No run. Confusion in Cardiff because we did have Rain coming in, as well as Ben Rain coming into bowl, but hopefully very little rain disruption to this match. Going to the forecast as Ben Rain stretches forward and defends the next ball from Salter out on the onside. Marnus Labuschagne does the fielding. No run. Crowd relatively hushed. Salter bowls and Ben Rain pushes forward out on the leg side again. Again, no run. So Salter starting in reasonably accurate mode after getting over his first ball being a full toss, being smacked for 4. That is driven but not timed by up to mid-on. There is just a single off that over. 227 for 6. Ben Stokes on 51 not out. Ben Rain is yet to get off the mark. And still, it remains an interesting struggle, Martin Emerson.
Yes, I've just been doing an update for Radio T's and just wondering about whether the pace of the pitch or the lack of pace in this pitch is the thing that's perhaps causing a few issues here for the Durham batsmen. But
Yes, they're saying they're not always sure what to expect. There's case in guard as well to a certain extent. With Glamorgan surprised by the lack of assistance last week against Leicestershire, but managed to overcome it with a load of wickets in the final session of the first day. As Nisa swaps over his mid-off and mid-on. What's Guston in the firing line?
There are runs to be here if you play this the right way. Stokes leaves delivery from Nisa, goes through to the keeper quite low. 227 for 6 doesn't look like a good scorecard though, does it? From Durham's perspective.
Well, the point is
I don't
that
think batting has been that difficult. We've seen Lee's dragged on, Borthwick played a poor shot and got himself out. Bellingham was LBW. Peterson wasn't the best of shots. I have to say I didn't see the Eckersley dismissal just then because I was busy connecting some bits together. Nisa in again to Stokes. Stokes forward defends this one.
well, you've got 3 players out having got themselves in, if you like. Bellingham 11, Borthwick 17, Eckersley 21, and Durham put together, you know, some runs for each wicket, but not maybe as many as you'd expect once the players have got themselves in.
Nisa to Stokes again. Comes up short and rises up around the armpit area and is played away safe on the offside for no run.
Well, Nisa's most likely to flog some life out of a reasonably placid pitch, as we've seen so often this season. It's just the second over of his spell, so probably get 2 or 3 more out of this one.
4 wickets left in this Durham innings. How many more runs can they add? And oh well, they're playing a miss there from Stokes. That just looked a little bit too casual. Ball's pitched. And it's gone across him. It was angling across him, but he's trying to drive at a ball that wasn't really drivable.
A little bit of impatience maybe in that shot.
I wonder if he thinks it's time to tee off now. Noticeably 1, 2, 3, 4 men on the boundary for him.
Well, he's got enough batting support, hasn't he? Rain, cars and pots.
Yeah. That's left wide of off him through the keeper. He does, but I don't feel there's enough run on the board here for the wickets down. That's the issue.
Strange, isn't it? Because being put in, you'd think it was a fair to middling innings.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a 6 wickets down at this stage of the day track for the lack of runs, if you know what I mean. 227 for 6.
Yeah, you wouldn't really be surprised to see 4 or 5 down on the way play's gone so far.
Nisa to Stokes. Stokes, oh, now Rain sets off for a single. Oh, nearly in dangerous territory there. Stokes sending back, Rain diving back towards the crease. Was it Carlson who had a go at the stumps?
Yep.
From mid-on. He was side on. He missed the target. Sam Northeast backing up on the other side of the square. If he'd hit, I think that would have been curtains of Rain. As it is, Nisa with another maiden over. 2 for 25 from him from 14 overs. 5 of them have been maidens.
Yeah, it looks like Glamorgan are going to get a lot better value for money out of Nisa this season if he stays fit. He is being subjected to quite a heavy workload at the moment. There may be some intention to involve him in D20, but doesn't have to play in all of them, with Glamorgan having 3 overseas available. As Salter bowls, forward stretches Rain and defends. South African batsman Colin Ingram, along with Marnus Labuschagne for the first 6 or 7 games, and Nisa. So they might choose to rest Nisa for at least a couple of those and pick Labuschagne and Ingram together. Salter is in, bowls a Rain, who drives to deepish mid-on, but not quite a single there. So 6 just about saving the single for the new bat, Ben Rain. It's forward defending. Square leg, stroke mid-wicket, is back 3/4 of the way towards the ropes. Cover point in front of the pavilion is more or less on the ropes, and there is 1 slip. Salter bowling around the wicket, dragged that one down slightly, but Rain just watchfully turned it away on the leg side. So he's played out 10 dot balls so far as the Durham number 8. Can face up to Andrew Salter. And again, Ben Rain defends on the leg side, and there's no run. Morgan's over 8 is, I think, -1, and just about make out on the bottom of the board. Salter into Rain, who defends back up the pitch to the bowler, and that's the sort of thing that's going to improve Glamorgan's bowling over rate as Salter registered his first maiden 4 overs 0 for 7. Durham 227 for 6 as Stokes and Rain meet for a little mid-wicket chat, and Stokes might just have to rein himself in a little if Durham are to get a solid sort of first innings score in this game. So he goes now. Morgan will have high hopes of bowling Durham out for under 300, which looks like it could be disappointing as the medium pace of Andy Gorvin is brought back into the attack. Gorvin already with 1 wicket in Bellingham. Now given the chance for the England captain, albeit with a fairly defensive field, looking to frustrate Stokes out.
Gorvin with number 11 on his back, he's going to play left wing. Stokes waiting. There's a train going through Chester Street. Gorvin in, right arm over. Ball bounces in and is fended down into the ground on the offside by Stokes.
Oh yeah, might be another number 11 for a Welsh side in pretty important action early next month.
Stu says the scorecard has the last wicket, Eckersley LBW to Nisa. And it does, I've just looked. So they did announce Chris Cook, didn't they, on the PA. In comes the bowler again, played off towards mid-wicket by Stokes for 1.
Yeah, it's got caught behind on the BBC scorecard.
Just watching it. I think it's scraped the pad around the knee roll and gone through to the keeper. Anyway, either way he's out.
Yeah, the way Cook held ball up, it looked like a catch behind the bill.
Gorvin in round the wicket this time, bowling to Ben Rain, who I haven't yet put in my scorecard. Three balls left of this 70th over here on the BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Wales. And that's defended and back to the bowler it goes. Apparently I'm told they're getting a new computer tomorrow for the stream, so the buffering should stop.
Yep, vision is not anything we can do anything about.
No. Bowler comes in and this is played to mid-wicket, no run there. First day of the season, the sound was horrendous. It was far too loud because it was just connected to the wrong socket when they realised at the lunch interval on the first day of the season. That was all straight away, but then the stream kept freezing up and that put down to the broadband width, so that was increased and it seemed to improve. Oh, an edge, didn't quite carry, and Rain playing in that one quite a long way outside of his off stump there. Big stride forward to him, he's guided it down into the ground, 2 second slip. Anyway, for the majority of the Leicestershire game and then certainly all of the Notts match the following week, the stream was fine, so I didn't expect any problems today, as I thought we were. Those days were gone, Nick. There you go.
Yeah, wind's blowing in the wrong direction for the interweb. I can confirm that Eckersley was LBW. Not, as I said, caught behind, but that seemed to be the indication, and it's certainly what's gone down on several official cards. But LBW is the word from the scorer's room. Salter in, reverse sweep from Stokes. Quarter of an appeal from Salter as the ball dribbled down towards the slips. Is Stokes maybe showing signs of boredom, or does he think that aggression is the way forward? Again, reverse sweep. This time he's nailed it, but he won't get a run for it as it's half stopped by Gorvin in that short third man position. And Salter might be reasonably encouraged to see Stokes playing that shot.
The comedy cricket account Fred Boycott was funny last week.
Salter to Stokes, who this time drives it up to long off for a single, moves on to 53.
So Stokes hit 17 sixes. He was the first player in English cricket to get to 106s alone. And He's going for an 18th when he was caught on the boundary, having made a 61.
Salter to Rain, niddles it away on the leg side for a single, 230 for 6.
So the parody account sets itself up as Fred Boycott, the brother of Jeff, and 8-hour net sessions and all this sort of thing.
Here's Salter to bowl to Ben Stokes on 53 not out, driving up to long off for a single, 54 not out, 231 for 6.
Anyway, he retweeted a video of his Stokes' dismissal, and he said they never learn, outslogging.
Salter to Rain, who defends on the offside, no run. 3 off the over, 231 for 6. Stokes has 54 off 87 balls. Was it 88 he faced last week?
What?
161. 88 seems to
yeah, that rings a bell, doesn't it?
be at the back of the mind. So he's only got one more ball
8
to.
4s and 17 6s and 88 deliveries.
Only got one more ball to face to score his next 107 runs. But he is on strike.
Sean Dixon thought he'd break the record for the fastest 100 for Durham the next day. As Gordon comes in here to bowl to Stokes. Short ball down the leg side, pulled out towards deep square left for 1. He looked at the scoreboard and thought he had Stokes' 64 ball 100 in his sights, but he said the Worcestershire bowlers then started bowling wide down the leg side, so he couldn't reach the delivery.
How dare they?
Well, what you got in that match was you got the 2 fastest 100s for Durham in first-class cricket. They missed their 30th anniversary year, making step up. Corbin in bowls, played by Rain up towards mid-on to Kieran Carlson. Another throw at the stumps at the bowler's end as Rain comes through. Gets a single.
We haven't seen as many shies at the stumps from Arnus Labuschagne as usual. Possibly because he's been at slip for chunks of the day, but doesn't usually stop him.
Bowler comes in again. Played up to Billy Root at mid-off eye. Stokes, no run. Stewart says, I'm with you. I thought it was caught behind. It was close to outside the line if it was LBW.
It was LBW.
Stephen Mullaney's got a 54 knots. 243 for 4 against Middlesex. It's turned away by Stokes round the corner, down the leg side for 1 to long leg. Motorbike on the dual carriageway. Sounds like it's trying to take off. Moving around the wicket now to bowl to Rain. Oh, now did that carry to the slip or not? Did it bounce in front of him again?
I think it must have bounced in front because of the reaction of the, or lack of reaction of the players, and the fact that Labuschagne is shuffled forward 6 inches.
That's twice in 2 overs from Gordon that Ben Rains played that shot, and it's bounced just in front of second slip. That's ball of the over coming up. Dropped a man from mid-wicket out to mid-wicket. Ball that comes in again and played out through the covers. Nice shot from Rain. That might go for 4. Looks like it's got the legs towards the castle boundary, and it does. Found the gap between point and cover. Nice shot.
Yeah, it's got Ben Rain going after just a couple of singles off his first 20 deliveries faced. 238 for 6.
There was, in our lunchtime news, I don't know if you've seen this story, a guy was up in a light aircraft over Florida.
Oh, yeah,
and the pilot collapsed at the controls, and this passenger who had never flown a plane before took over and made a mayday call and was talked down and managed to land the plane safely. And it reminded me, many, many years ago, there used to be a series on the BBC with, I think it was Michael Burke, called 999 Emergency.
All right.
And they had reenactments of incidents and used bits of real footage and, recordings of emergency calls and stuff.
Here's Salter starting you over to Stokes, who swing that one. Where's the ball ended up?
It's out in
Deep extra cover for a single. Wasn't entirely obvious from that shot which way the ball would travel. Big swing of the bat. Single taken. Stokes to 57 off 91. Salter bowls to Rain, who noodles it on the leg side. No run.
Yeah, there was one episode of that where it was a flight in England, and a lad had gone up with his future father-in-law. Had recently got engaged, and he'd gone up as a sort of celebratory flight when his father-in-law collapsed at the controls of the plane.
Salter is into bowl to Rain. Rain shapes to come down the pitch. Salter drops it short. Rain reacts and defends.
And he landed the plane that day. Somebody talked him down. I think another pilot went up alongside him and helped fly him all the way, but guided him in, talked to him all the way down.
Salter bowling under wicket to the left-handers, and Rain stretching forward and defending. Well, Rain certainly happy to play the junior partner at the moment, as Stokes just flashes of aggression from the England captain. Watching on as Ben Rain drives on the bounce to cover. Parried there by Labuschagne. No run. Sorry, it's Carlson who's gone to cover. It's usually Labuschagne at cover. Salter bowls, tosses that one up. This time it's driven to wide mid-off, and Hogan smashes down the stumps, but Rain was safely home. That's a neat throw, because he's taken out the middle stump from not quite tight on.
I'm not sure I think he was past the crease line, but he didn't ground his bat there, though, did he? Obviously thought he was home in advance, but...
Good throw. Single take, no, and the over. 240 for 6. Stokes 57, Rain 7.
I'm just wondering though, imagine being up in a light aircraft and the person is flying and collapses next to you. What do you do? And if you could land it under the guidance of an air traffic controller, would you ever go in a plane again?
Not a small one, certainly.
Orvin bowling here, and this is pushed off towards mid-wicket by Rain, who's on 7. And the one in Florida, they managed to find a flight, somebody who was a flight instructor who was having a lunch, and they managed to get him up to the control tower to talk this other guy in. I was on the recording. He says, "Do you know where you are?" And he says, "I haven't got a clue."
Up in the air.
So he managed to fly along Florida coastline and spotted some sites, which they will then guide him in through. Gorvin round the wicket balls, gone on towards point for 1 run. Paul Mooneyar, the presenters, saying 20 to 21 degrees on Saturday here.
That'll be nice.
Might be able to open the window, let some warmth in.
Yeah, just a very gentle bit of breeze through a couple of inches the window open today, just enough to let the effects microphone out.
Gorvin balls, played off the hips by Stokes out towards deep square leg. 1 run. Read the fastest hundreds last week. Paul points out the records are very nice, but it was only a draw. Yeah. Gorvin to Rain, drive straight back past the bowler, clipped just behind him from mid-off.
Yeah, Root's making good ground for that, because it would probably have gone through 4 if he hadn't been able to pick it up. It was well timed from Rain.
Got Carlson at mid-on, polishing the ball. Root at mid-off. In covers is Harris, I think, is a 12th man. This has gone towards mid-off, no run there.
Yeah, he's timed those last couple quite nicely, Ben Rain, but unfortunately for him, pretty close to Billy Root.
Tim van der Houten went off earlier in the day. He was in his 10th over and he stopped. Threw the ball down on the floor and grabbed his cap and off he went, so possibility that he maybe have aggravated a hamstring problem, which saw him injured in the Derbyshire game recently. Single here from Rain out towards wide mid-on.
So 2:43 for 6, 22 overs to go. Maybe 25 past 6 if Salter bowls a few of them. 6 overs, 0 for 12. Glamorgan spinner so far. Labuschagne has bowled both seam and spin. And it's Rain on strike. May have to hand over to Martin mid-over as we keep our ears on the BBC Radio Newcastle news. But we'll start with Salter bowling to Ben Rain, who's driving that one through mid-on and timed that one nicely, and he's hit it straight enough to beat Michael Hogan, and that'll run away into the far distance for Rain's second boundary, who moves on to 13 and Durham on to 247 for 6 within 3 runs of a second batting bonus point.
21 is to add.
coming together in the 66th over. We're now in the 75th. So routine run rate so far as Rain nudges one on the leg side despite the odd attempt at violence by Ben Stokes. Salter waits for the ball back. Ball to Ben Rain. Niddles that one down to backward square. Billy Root can't quite pick up cleanly and put any pressure on the runners as they dash through for a quick single. 2:48 for 6. Salter to Stokes. And he comes. Stokes drives up to long off and milks a single yet again. Well, those singles are there every time he wants them, basically, Ben Stokes, but Glamorgan probably reasonably happy to be bowling at Ben Rain instead. 2:49 for 6. Salter to Ben Rain, who turns that one to mid-wicket. This time it's Labuschagne dashing in theatrically and preventing the single being taken. Last ball of the Salter over then. To Rain, 2:49 for 6. Salter bowls, Rain defends on the leg side. 2:49 for 6 at the end of the over. Stokes 59, Rain is 14. Radio update.
And Ben Stokes is on 59. The England skipper has reached a half-century in first-class cricket for the 66th time. Despite his gung-ho heroics last week when he hit a century in a record 64 balls, his 50 this time was a more sedate 74, came with 6 fours as well, but not a single maximum, despite the fact he hit 17, an English record last week. Not a single 6 today, but these are much bigger boundaries than we had at Worcester a week ago. Durham 249 for 6, then they're 1 run away from their next batting point, and Glamorgan so far have picked up 2 bowling points. Ben Rain is at the other end on 14. The Wickets to go this afternoon, Borthwick after tea for 17, Bellingham for 11, Keegan Peterson for a Durham best 78, and then after tea, Neckersley, having put 54 on the board for the 6th wicket, was out for 21 LBW to Michelnisa.
More Labuschagne, 5 overs the new ball.
Paul was questioning some of the toss decisions earlier in the day. Northant's now 300 in 70 overs. And you put in by, was that Warwickshire put them in?
I think so.
Oh, bit of an aerial delivery here from Labuschagne. And it's kept out by Stokes. Right on the bounce. A lot of dust coming up. It was a loopy Yorker.
Licorice all sorts from Labuschagne with his spin.
He was bowling medium pace earlier. Leg spin. This back to him by Stokes. It ricochets off him and is picked up by Kieran Carlson just on the mid-on area, sort of half mid-on, half mid-wicket. Drifts back towards mid-wicket. Carlson again comes in. Carlson, Labuschagne comes in, and Stokes down on one. He looks to sweep hard, and the ball bounces off the keeper. No run. Right arm over from the Finkel end. He's gone down on one knee and smites the ball, a mighty smite. And that's 6. He's just mowed him over mid-wicket into the pavilion. The ball is retrieved by one of the substitute fielders. 250 comes up as well, so second in point for Durham.
That's what the crowd came to see. Stokes opening his shoulders.
And he whips this one out that direction as well, and that's 4. Straight out through mid-wicket.
The Stokes assault. Is it starting up, or is it just a couple of loose ones from Labuschagne?
Latest spy novel from the writers of
The Stokes conundrum.
Defended this time. Around about middle and leg, inside edge out towards short mid-wicket, end of the over.
Not sure if there might have been a word to exchange there. Mind you, Labuschagne's always talking, so if he talks to Stokes, then it's no different to everyone else on the cricket field who he talks to or at. Crowd seems to react to something there. 69 to Stokes off 99 balls. Seemed to go through a little bit of a quiet period after passing the half-century, opening up again. Just been brief flourishes of violence from Ben Stokes. Salter to Ben Rain, clipped away on the leg side. A couple of runs here, I think down to backward square as Root slides. Not they decided against risking a second because Root had got the ball. Didn't field it all cleanly, but the fact that he was on the ball was enough to deter the two Bens. So that leaves Stokes back on strike. Salter to bowl. Flatter and driven up to long off yet again for a single. 262 for 261 for 6, because that was up on the board before they'd completed the run almost. Stokes to 70. Morgan trying to put the pressure on Rain, and he opens his shoulders and drives it aerially over and will get a couple of runs for it because it wasn't perfectly timed, and it was eventually picked up by the man round from deep extra. Rain moves on to 17, 263 for 6. 10 minutes away from the new ball, one would assume. And various ball changes already this afternoon. Salter then to Rain, who goes for a big one and nails it straight back where it came from.
He was assaulted there.
Oh, through long on for 4. So they're having a go in this over. Runs off every ball so far. As
giving it what might be described as some creepy.
I'll take your word for it. Rain to 21, 267 for 6. Salter bowled shorter and flatter. Forced to Gorvin at backward point. No run. 3 overs to come after this one before the new ball is available to Glamorgan. Doesn't mean they'll take it, but I see no reason why they wouldn't. As forward stretches Rain to defend, so a couple of dot balls to end the over, but they were runs off it. 267 for 6. We've had 77 overs bowled. So the run rate around about 3.5. Off the top of my head. I'm actually doing the calculation. 2 points either side so far. As Ben and Ben meet for further talks.
Oh, well, there you are. Jack Henn's got 120 against Durham last week, which was his first century for Worcestershire in the County Championship. He followed it up with another today at Derby.
Well played, young man.
Labuschagne. Bringing the ball. Floats that one up towards leg stump. Jabbed down to the ground by Stokes, Nora. Was it K.D. Lang sang a song called Lady Chatelaine? It always reminds me of Labuschagne. It comes again, balls. Oh, get after that. Where's that gone?
Into the pavilion somewhere.
Well, Andy Gorvin is standing on the boundary in front of the pavilion steps, and he just put his hands in the air and watched the ball sail over his head, and it went about 6 or 7 rows behind him. And that's a big blow from Stokes, who's really going after the bowler now. 76, 102 balls, 273 for 6, Durham. He's got fielders on the leg side all the way around that boundary, 3 of them in fact. Labuschagne in again, and a sweep round the corner, reverse sweep from Stokes. Nicely done, the ball racing down the what is effectively third man. He turned it into a fine leg, he turned it into a 4.
I think it's very fair to say now that Ben Stokes has got his revenge on Marnus Labuschagne whacking him in the unmentionables earlier on.
1-run partnership. Stokes and Rain, how many?
70 balls.
So that's 1, 2, 3 50-run partnerships today, but we haven't yet seen anybody go on to make that really big stand, which you feel could be the difference in this game. Stokes is on 80. Labuschagne round the wicket, he bowls, and he reverse sweeps that one. He hits it hard, but there's a fielder in there now. Really deep backward gully. Or an advanced third man. Third man on the disc it will be in a one-dayer. Just got a little bit gloomy out there now. There's Labuschagne balls again. Stokes pushes this to Root in the covers, no run there. I wonder if we might see the floodlight on at some point.
Welcome to listeners to BBC 5 Sports Extra.
Is that what the text was? Has Mr. Howell's been in touch? Labuschagne round the wicket, turned off towards mid-wicket by Stokes, and Carlson collected. End of the over. The scoreboard looks extremely bright at the moment. The white lettering very obvious now. 277 for 6. Durham put in this morning. Ben Stokes is on 80. If you were listening to him annihilating the Worcestershire bowlers last week, particularly Josh Baker, he hit the 18-year-old spinner for 5 sixes and a 4 in 1 over. He got to 100 in 64 balls last week. Today, he got to 50 in 74 balls. Very pedestrian by his standards. It included 6 fours, but not a single 6. But once he's got past that 50 mark, up into the 60s, he's taken him on as Labuschagne on. Labuschagne was bowling seam earlier. Bowled a one that Stokes tried to pull through the side and ended up taking on the box. So, first blow really delivered by the Aussie, and then Stokes has gone after him in recent overs. 2 big sixes at the pavilion through deep mid-wicket on one knee, slog sweeps, followed by a couple of reverse sweeps for 4. So he's moved himself up to 80. His partnership with Ben Rain has now gone past the 50 mark, and Durham 277 for 6.
2 overs before the new ball as Salter bowls to Ben Rain, who drives to mid-off, and there's no run. Yeah, 88 balls, the duration of his innings last week. He only had 53 runs at the time. He's accelerated since as Stokes, as Salter bowls to the other left-handed Ben, who'll pick up at least a single down towards backward square. They'll come back for a second run as Root's throw comes in. 279 for 6, and this half-century partnership, the third of the day, is just showing what maybe should have been for Durham. Keegan Peterson, 78, Alex Lees, 44. As Rain drives into the covers and has beaten the despairing dive there, and that's run through for 4. So Durham making hay against the last few overs of spin with the old ball before the return of Michaels, Nisa and Hogan. And Glamorgan a seamer down, with Tim van der Houten limping off with what we presume is a reoccurrence of hamstring trouble.
Stokes has equalled another record. This was one of the more unusual ones which I found the other day.
Salter bowls, Rain defends. Yeah.
The most sixes in a season for Durham was John Morris, with 19 in 1994. So Stokes has done that in 1 point part of an 1 point part of an over. Part of an innings, sorry.
Salter bowls and Rain bowls ferociously out towards square leg, who
doesn't know where it's gone.
Had no idea where that ball had gone.
Billy
Root. I don't think he would have cut it off anyway, because it was a lot straighter than him, but Root had completely lost that one, and that might be a sign that they need to stick the floodlights on.
It's gloomy, isn't it?
There's a particular band of dark cloud moving on over Chester Street at the moment. 283 for 6. So Durham finning back after being 226 for 6 at one point. Rain's on 27, and he is bowled, pushing forward, and Rain looks down in some bemusement and wonders how on earth that had happened, but he's as bold as you're going to be by a spinner, because Salter managed to knock a stump out of the ground. Rain goes for 27, and Durham are 283 for 7. And again, really, the success of the day hangs it in the balance, because apart from Stokes, Glamorgan have fought pretty hard with the ball. That's Salter's first wicket of the innings.
Lost his off stump there, just playing around the delivery. He's looking up at the sky, he's rather disappointed with himself. This Bryden Cars coming in. More good news from an England point of view. He's back after that knee up. It is, it's the tattooed Bryden Cars going out into the middle to join the tattooed Ben Stokes.
Batting to come, Potts and Rushworth. Peterson 78, Lees 44, the other main scorers of the day. A couple of wickets for the Glamorgan captain, David Lloyd, with his medium pace. 2 for Michael Nisa, the Australian opening bowler. 1 apiece for Seamer Andrew Gorvin, the veteran Michael Hogan, and now for Andrew Salter as the Riverside floodlights flicker into life to illuminate proceedings. And
283 for 7.
The umpires... Well, that's strange, because there's 5 balls up on the board. The umpires appear to have swapped over. Peculiar. 283 for 7.
This is...
286 for 7. The board...
Right.
Oh,
287 for 6. What's happening?
The board's having a moment.
Rain's out again.
The board's having a moment. I don't think they had the wicket. Then they pressed a 4.
Graded Rain scored a 31.
I don't know what's going off out there. Apart from, this is definitely the 80th over, surely. And it's again to be the Ashes confrontation of Glamorgan and Stokes.
All right, one more 6 from Stokes, and it's the record for 6s in a season for Durham. Instead plays this one safely along the floor out into the covers for 1. Root picks it up. So John Morris got 19 6s in his season in 1994. Stokes got 17 in an innings last week and 2 today. So what is the scorecard now saying? When did the wicket fall? Some extra runs have just been added on there, haven't they? Fall of wicket 287, so they've had 4 on. So the partnership was 61 then.
Back to a left-right combination.
Played by Brydon Cast, who showed extra cover.
Called away to Cardiff on his last appearance in the Durham Championship side.
Yeah, July the 5th last year, since he last played for Durham. Defended here by Cast. He was called into an emergency one-day squad by England along with Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes ended up captaining them to play Pakistan because a number of the England one-day squad who were due to play Pakistan come down with coronavirus. Bowler in again, played away by pass out through the covers for 1. So he is off the mark.
And we have to say, listeners who just joined us, it's been a healthy crowd throughout the day, and they've really enjoyed the struggle between bat and ball. They've applauded everything Durham have done. And big numbers expected on Saturday, and large numbers of freebies have been handed out to youngsters.
Stokes on strike, Labuschagne bowling to him, right arm round. Oh, that's a medium pacer. Stokes flicks it out through mid-wicket for 1. Now, Labuschagne's got his hands on his head there. I don't know if that's because the ball came out wrong or if he thought it was a sneaky plan that was going to come off, and it would have been okay if it hadn't been thwarted by those dastardly kids. Or whatever. Something along those lines, somewhere.
As cunning plans go, it was more Baldrick than Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Brydon Cast on strike. Been waiting for quite a few weeks for him to see him come back. He's been playing for Bernard Field in the North East Premier League. Got a century for them 2 or 3 weeks ago. That first delivery he faces there is left alone at the end of the over.
Good afternoon to Twitter listeners. Trevor Freeman is enjoying the stream, but hopes Glamorgan gets Stokes soon. Rod Young querying the selection of Van der Hoogten alongside one seamer fewer in this match for Glamorgan, who've brought in Billy Root as an extra batter. 290 for 7 then at the 80 over mark as the new ball is duly waved in the air by umpire Alex Wharf. David Lord deciding to put Durham in on what looked like a green top but hasn't played like one. But on the other hand, we have probably had the cloudiest conditions of the 4 days forecast for today. And although it hasn't been particularly favourable to bowlers, perhaps it'll be even less favourable on the other 3 days. So Hogan 1 for 57. Neese's claimed a couple. 290 for 7. Hogan it is then from the Lumley end. You're on BBC Sport Online and on BBC 5 Sports Extra. Ben Stokes on 82 not out. Had a go at Labuschagne. Will he do the same against Hogan? He drives the first ball hard back past the bowler, but it's fielded at mid-on by fielder James Harris, who's going to have to do a lot of fielding in this match. I don't think we'll see Tim van der Hoogten in the field, having gone off while bowling his 10th over of the day. Stokes under the lights. Prepares to face Michael Hogan, who's in bowls and has gone caught behind. Well, Stokes marching off for 82. Michael Hogan gets him with the new ball. Regulation catch for Chris Cook. And Durham are 8 for 290. 8 fours, 2 sixes from Stokes, his innings of 82. Lasted 110 balls. And they love him.
Well, off he goes. And he seemed to drop the bat on that one, didn't he? He was trying out the road of the ball, clipped his bat on the way through, and then the bat ended up on the floor. So he's made there 2 sixes and 8 fours. And is the joint record holder for Durham in a season of 6s. Matty Potts coming out now. The floodlights are trying to take effect, but really dark skies above us now. It's not going to rain, but it's really grey cloud, heavy grey cloud. And Durham, with 2 wickets left here, need to think about this because they're 10 away from a 3rd batting point, and that has got to be a priority. And can they go on and get a 4th perhaps? There's still plenty of time. We're only in the 81st over. There's still 30 overs left for that.
Yeah, so plenty of time left available. Glamorgan may not be too keen to bat for too long in these light conditions, and we even get to the point where the floodlights are taking over from rather than aiding the natural light, which is always an arcane point. I don't understand where exactly the tipping point comes. But Glamorgan can bowl at the lower order now. Cars and Potts both capable of holding a bat. Rushworth to come. And Hogan is in now with 3 slips to bowl, and Potts stretching forward to defend. Got 2 right-hand batters together, which we haven't often had in the course of today's proceedings. So Glamorgan, on this cool day in the northeast, temperatures around about 13, 14 Celsius, and Labuschagne moves from 4th to 3rd slip. As Hogan is in to bowl to Potts, appeal for LBW, out.
Well, this could be over very soon. Chris Rushworth, the next man in, who averages 10 or 11. Is that Potts' first ball?
Second ball.
Second ball.
Looked to be hit fairly low down.
They will kick themselves here if they miss out on a 3rd batting point. And I said earlier in the day, I felt they were going to be short. This looked like a 350 wicket. And a 290 for 9.
Glamorgan face something to bat for an awkward little spell tonight if the light is good enough. So after the departure of Ben Stokes for 82, Durham will be possibly strangely frustrated by the evening proceedings. 2 wickets in the first session, 3 fell in the 3rd, and 4 now in the first hour or so of the final session of today. As in comes the last man, Rushworth. So Durham have lost Dixon for 5, Lees for 44, Borthwick for 17, Bettingham for 11, Peterson for 78, Eckersley 21, and Rain 31. Lots of players getting starts, but apart from Peterson and Stokes, no one really has gone on. So can Glamorgan finish this innings off? Chris Rushworth is out in the middle. Michael Hogan is bowling to him, and Rushworth is hit on the pad, but possibly an inside edge first because there's no appeal from Hogan, who has 3 for 57 now, including the main man, Ben Stokes, for 82 of 110 balls, 8 fours and 2 sixes. Hogan in, bowls. Rushworth with a big swing of the bat sends the ball to square leg. There is no run. 290 for 9. It is a double wicket maiden for Michael Hogan.
I've got to do an update for T's on my tablet now, so I'll leave you to continue on.
So we'll have a flick around the scores elsewhere during the course of this over. In the Roses match, Lancashire 249 for 2, 249 for 3. They've just lost the wicket of Stephen Croft, leg before to Harris Rao for 104. Keaton Jennings is still there, 124 not out, but a stand of 237 for the 3rd wicket after Wells and Bohannon fell to Thompson earlier. In the West Country Derby, I'll give you after this from Nisa into bowl to Brian Carr, who is beaten outside off stump. Through it goes to Chris Cook. Somerset are 286 for 3 at Bristol, with Matt Renshaw making 9-4, Tom Lammonby 76, James Hildreth is on 49 not out. In the South East Derby, Surrey 275 for 3 against Kent at Beckham. Ollie Pope 90, not out. As that one is slapped out into the offside by Bryden Cast, but didn't quite time it, no run. Ben Foakes is 61, not out, and earlier Ryan Patel at 76. At Edgbaston, Warwickshire won the toss and decided to field. That went well. Northants 335 for 1. Vasconcelos 156. Will Young 134, not out. Nisa in. Bowls, and that's gone through Bryden Cars. Didn't know much about it. Taken by Cook. In Division 2 at Derby, Worcestershire have piled up 292 for 4, with Azhar Ali making 88, and young Jack Haynes, who saved a draw for Worcestershire against Durham last week, he's made 133. So a young man in prolific form. Nisa is in, bowls and beats Cars again outside off stump. Ball going through low to Chris Cook. Leicestershire were bowled out for 210 by Sussex, so 2 for naught in reply. High score in that Leicestershire innings was just 35 from Lewis Hill, who beaten by Glamorgan the pump again this week, with 3 wickets for Aaron Beard for Sussex and 3 for Henry Crocombe as well. And at Lords, after this ball from Nisa to bowl, that's driven nicely backed on the ground by Cars. That's his first boundary. 294 for 9 as Durham edge closer to that third batting bonus point. I say edge, but in physical terms that was right off the meat of the bat. Nice drive down the ground. Cars moves to 5. Lord's knots are 293 for 5. Stephen Mullaney is 76 not out. Hasib Hamid hit 112. So it's been something of a batter's day all round. Here, honours reasonably even as Nisa bowls and beats Cars outside off stump. Through it goes to Chris Cook. End of the over, just the one scoring shot, but it was a very nice one during that over. Hogan now 3 for 57. Nisa 2 for 29. Morgan getting a fine service as ever off their 2 opening bowlers, and they'll need it because Tim van der Hoogten probably won't bowl in the game, you would guess. Well, I haven't heard anything from the dressing room as yet, but you wouldn't expect van der Hoogten to bowl after going off with a hamstring strain. Here is Hogan then, who's in to bowl. Rushworth will get runs here with a nice shot through the offside to get off the mark. 298 for 9 as he struck that one powerfully in the manner maybe of Hogan himself. Not entirely out of the textbook, but it'll do for Chris Rushworth. 2 runs needed for that third batting point for Durham. Glamorgan have got the 3 bowling points. As we've said goodbye to 555 Sports Extra listeners, and Hogan in to Rushworth, who plays that one down to point, fielded by Salter, and there is no run.
You think they only came for Ben Stokes?
Really?
Yeah, and there's me and you thinking they came to talk to us. And
I thought it was because the love of our voices.
yeah.
Oh, there's an England captain out there, is there? All right. Oh, he's out. Off they go. Oh, fickle lot. Hogan is into bowl, and Rushworth runs it down towards third man. The crowd applauding every run. 299 for 9 now. Durham, both batters are on 5. Roses Derby, West Country Derby, Kent Surrey. Durham against Glamorgan, probably about as far as from a derby as you can get. Hogan into bowl, and Cast defends on the offside. One number 99 playing at the other, Marnus Labuschagne at cover. I mean, if Glamorgan take this wicket reasonably quickly, then it looks like a decent enough decision to bowl first, you would have thought.
Get them out in a day.
Yeah, that'll do. Hogan bowls, edged by Cars, and that is the 300th run in the Durham innings. Down to Gorvin at third man, edged perfectly safely down into the ground, and it is Durham's third point in the 83rd over.
I'm going to be greedy here and suggest they get 350 on the board. Because this looks like a 350 kind of track.
Hogan to Rushworth, who swings that one through mid-wicket, and there's all of the 50 that Martin is demanding. As Billy Root loses the pursuit out to the boundary by the scoreboard, and it's tail-end fun time now. The serious stuff of the third batting point has been accomplished. 304 for 9, Rushworth 9, Cars 6.
Nisarine driven back past him.
Eventually a single after some considerable hesitation.
Alongside Rushworth, who was looking back behind him to see if the fielder had taken the ball or not. And then Carson past him, then looked like he was going to start running back to the other end. But
Govin was at full stretch. He didn't have any chance of running him out, but for a moment it looked as though they'd end up standing at one arguing with each other.
305 for 9. They just need another 45 for the next batting point.
Greedy.
Nisa coming in to bowl to Rushworth, who
stepped away at the very last minute there.
He backed away, miles away from stumps there, left everything on show.
And Nisa fired it wide to the off stump. That was almost like Rushworth saying, I'm not ready, but...
Yeah, I don't know if something had put him off behind the bowler's arm there, because we can't see down round the left-hand corner, but...
Unless he was just looking to give himself room to hit.
Lights are on. It isn't the brightest of nights at all here. Nisa again to Rushworth. Ducks out the road of a bouncer. He got hit on the head at Sussex a couple of weeks ago and was knocked down and then had to withdraw from the game.
Crow don't like that. Ball bouncers are number 11. Well, everyone's fair game these days.
Yeah, well, David Loy and Andrew Salter might be wondering about this as well if they have to come out and bat in this light in a few minutes' time.
Well, yeah.
So he'll have the ball in his hand.
They might want Nisa to bowl wide of off stump for another 10 overs.
12 and a half to go today. He tries to York Rushworth, who backs away and then jabs the bat down on the ball and steers it down towards third man. 1 run.
Yes, there seem to be some question marks about batting at the moment. First they nearly end up at the same end, then Rushworth ends up bumping into the square leg umpire virtually, while giving himself room. Even Hogan doesn't usually back that far.
Nisa turns. Cast on strike. He's wellied that out towards deep mid-wicket. And a good diving stop by Billy Root, sliding along as well there. It was rather agricultural when he...
Went to cow corner. Yeah, wellied, smeared.
Dave Griffin, the Derbyshire statistician and photographer, has just tweeted, for the first time in Derbyshire's 2,843 first-class matches, there have now been 5 consecutive innings of 300 or more. And that's 4 from Rushworth, straight over mid-on and up to our boundary. That was right out the middle.
Neil on Twitter saying the dismissal of Ben Stokes made an annoying journey round the M25 much better for him, as we briefly featured on 5 Sports Extra. 311 for 9. Bit of last wicket. Bish, bosh, bash.
Just 2 or 3 miles away from here. BBC's tweeting, Washington Wetland Centre, so the Wildfowl and Wetland Centre, has welcomed its first common crane chick.
Hogan bowls and Cars swings wildly. Doesn't make contact.
A species that was once extinct for 400 years in Britain. They've gradually reintroduced them into some wildlife reserves and sourced them down Minsmere in Norfolk. Is it Norfolk-Suffolk border? Next to the big nuclear power station. They were introduced there a few years ago.
Here's Hogan from the Lumley end, bowls and forces a defensive shot from Rushworth. Labuschagne runs round from cover towards mid-off to field, because mid-off now has been posted 2/3 the way back for the big hoik from these tail-enders. Cars has 8, Rushworth has 14 off just 10 balls. 311 for 9. Hogan bowls, and there's an appeal appeal for a catch behind.
He's out.
And he's out. The appeal was as if it was a formality, but Carr's standing his ground as he's entitled to. He goes Cook bowled Hogan for 8, and Durham are bowled out for 311. As Hogan finishing that innings well with his 4th wicket.
4 for 67.
4 for 67. Neese 2 for 36, Gorvin 1 for 72, Lloyd 2 for 43, Salter 1 for 36 are the wicket takers. We've had 84.3 overs bowled, so that's 85. Add 2 for the change of innings, 87. Glamorgan potentially have 9 overs to face tonight, and a tricky little spout this could well be.
I think Durham have just left themselves a bit short there, 311. They could have got more runs on that wicket. It's been a little slow at times, and 1 or 2 shots from the batsman, but Lee's well set when he played on 44. It was looking okay, then popped the dolly of a catch on 17. Peterson looked like he was set for a century, and he got caught in the slips, just pushing at the ball. Stokes at 82. So Rushworth's not out again on 14. Another red ink against his name. And we'll be back to you in 10 minutes. Here we go then for the start of the Glamorgan innings. And a naughty little 9 overs to come if they see their way through this one and the gloom doesn't take the players off. The floodlights are on at full pelt now. We've got a really big black cloud sitting right over us, so light may yet be an issue. Durham all out for 311. Ben Stokes making 82. Michael Hogan taking 4 for 67. 2 wickets apiece for Nisa and Lloyd, but they were hamstrung literally when Tim van der Houten limped off the pitch after 9.3 overs. None for 38 from him. There was a 78 from Keegan Peterson, 82 from Stokes, 44 from Lees, but quite a lot of the other batsmen got themselves started and then got themselves out. Here's Chris Rushworth bowling to David Lloyd, and the first ball is that signalled as a no ball, or is it going to be leg bye?
Leggy.
No
oh, both.
A no ball, which has gone for a leg bye.
3 sundries.
Andrew Salter moved up to open the batting this year for Glamorgan. It hasn't really worked.
But they haven't had anyone else ready to step in.
Well, he's facing Rushworth now. Rushworth comes in and bowls, and that's left alone. Through to the keeper it goes. Salter, so far this season, has scored in the... Where is he? I can't even see him on the list. Where's he?
He's just in double figures, really. His average, top score of 29.
Yeah, he's got 127 runs, average of 12.7, highest score 29. A couple of ducks in there as well. Rushworth has got 4 slips in place. He comes in from the Lumley end. This is defended. Goes out to short leg, no run there.
And Glamorgan will be desperately grateful if they can get through these 9 overs, or even more grateful if the umpires have a look at their light meters before that.
Rushworth bowls. Salter defends. The ball jams between bat and handle. Bat handle and glove there, I think. And Pat drops down in front of the stumps.
Yeah, I think Stokes can have claimed to have won the Ashes battle with Labuschagne. A couple of 6s, even if he did get a blower midships before that.
Rushworth, that's left. Keeper takes it in front of first slip.
Very awkward little spell. Particularly of opening bowler with the experience of Rushworth. Maybe even see an over of Stokes or over 2 of Stokes tonight. Rushworth pulls up before delivering.
Car driving behind the sight screen at the far end.
Surprised it's that distracting though, because well, actually in front of the sight screen, which is quite wide. Radio update calls for me.
Rushworth in, bowls. Ooh, playing a miss from Salter. And even with the floodlights on now, I've lost the definition of the players' faces here. They are just pinkish blobs at the moment. Both batsmen yet to get off the mark. The runs from this over, a no ball, which went for a leg bye. So they have 3 on the board. And this is the final ball of the first over of the 9 overs scheduled this evening for Glamorgan. That's a dot ball. That's the end of the over. Matty Potts coming into the attack from the Finkel end. He has taken 24 wickets this season. He's the leading wicket taker in the country, along with Lancashire's Hassan Ali, who isn't playing in this round of matches. The first delivery from him is wide of off stump and is left well alone by Lloyd. Michael Hogan's statistics against Durham. He's taken 4 for 67 with the ball today. He took 5 for 49 against Durham and Swansea in 2017 and 4 for 35 in a draw in Chesley Street in 2019. This delivery now is played off down towards deep backward square leg by Lloyd. A little flick off the hips from him. Six-8 has been on. This is the Wildfowl Wetlands Trust. It's captive breeding cranes, and in the southwest there is the Great Crane Project. But the breeding cranes in Norfolk and East Anglia are wild birds which came back on their own with the released captive birds. In comes bowler. That's gone through to the keeper. Yeah, there's a lot of cranes, big birds they are, and if you go down through central Germany you see them. We were in a place called Lübenau in the Spreewald forest, and there were birds nesting on the roof of the little fire station in the village where we were. The big things. So there's still plentiful in the wild there, but they did come back after about a 400-year gap. They were spotted in East Anglia a few years ago. Pots in to Salter. That's defended on off stump. Lovely looking birds though. Paul's been on. He says day one I'd say 311 is just about acceptable, subject to Glamorgan not getting a massive lead. But he thinks Durham should have batted out the day for 350 plus. This is played by Salter through a gap between third slip and gully and along the floor down to vacant third man. We need to work out what the decor would be in the pub the vacant third man. How many real ales would we have on? And would the levers let you pull the real ales on? Would they be shortened stumps? A few crickets on the walls and stuff like that. 8 for non-Glamorgan. Here on the BBC. Potts in. An edge and a wicket. Well, is he out or not? Come off the glove, has it? I think it has. Salter's gone for 4, so his struggles at the top of the order continue. It was a shortish ball from Potts, and it spooned up in the air and went out to point. So the Durham players were celebrating the catch. Sean Dixon took it, but Salter, as he looked across towards square leg, rubbed his shoulder as if to say, I didn't hit the bat, I hit my shoulder, but the umpires said, you're out, and off he goes for 4. So 8 for 1 at the score. So Potts is now the leading wicket taker in the country, outright, with 25 dismissals. The wicket coming at the end of the second over. Applause for Potts. Seven overs remaining today, if the light is considered suitable. The new batsman is Gorvin, who is at the non-striker's end. I presume he's coming as a night watchman, is he? The futility of the night watchman. Well, Abishane should have been next. I don't know if you saw that dismissal, but Salter was trying to suggest that it hit his arm and he was rubbing at the top of his arm there.
Yeah, just saw the end of it really, with the ball looping up in the air since it was setting up a radio broadcast.
Lloyd on strike, Rush with balls. Oh, he's nearly played on. He's jabbed the bat down onto the ball. It's come off the toe, hit his back foot and just missed the off stump. How it never hit, I don't know.
Well, this is an awful little period for Glamorgan. It's not quite so little, is it, really, with night watchman coming out with 7 overs left. Glamorgan's regular night watchman is Tim van der Hoogten, but presumably he's impeded by injury, so Andy Gorvin gets that dubious privilege. Not a privilege at all, in other words.
Comes in again and bowls. It's left alone. Luke Fletcher's now handed the job over to Peterson at Notts. So he's had enough of being night watchman. Peterson's had 24 innings where he's been night watchman and never had to go out. So, that was of 2 weeks ago. .303 behind when that wicket fell. They are still 303 behind. Rush within, left by Lloyd. Yelps from the Durham slip cordon there as the ball goes past the off stump, quite a long way past the off stump, to be honest with you. The kidderization going on there.
Well, if Glamorgan are 2 or 3 down tonight, then Durham will think it's job done, really, and that 311 was a jolly good total.
With balls. Forward comes Lloyd. Defends that one. Rushworth's had a fairly quiet season with the ball by his standards, although he has reached 550 championship wickets for Durham, but it was a wait of about 3 weeks for that to happen, 3 or 4 weeks. He's taken 11 wickets so far this season in 6 innings, averaging 37 a dismissal. He bowls again, and that's pops wide of off stump, goes quite high to the keeper. Meanwhile, David Lloyd has scored 344 at an average of 34 with a higher score of 84. He has the 250s, and his 84 came against Derbyshire in Derby.
He's looked in reasonable nick, but he's down giving a pep talk to Andy Gorvin, playing just his second first-class game. Scored not outs of 80-odd and 50-odd for the second team to get himself into the Glamorgan first team with a 4th or 5th seamer role. As in comes the first delivery to Gorvin, who handles that reasonably well, playing it down into the gully. Manny Potts in his second over, having induced the mistake from Andrew Salter. And Salter will be probably grateful when he gets the chance to drop back down the order again. As Potts is into bowl 2. Gorvin is hit on the pad. Big appeal given. Gorvin goes without scoring. It is advantage Durham on day 1 as Glamorgan are 8 for 2. And maybe Marnus Lashin will be required to come to the middle, or will Glamorgan send out another night watchman?
Honestly, I can't get my head around this night watchman thing. The amount of times it fails. It comes off so rarely. It's just one of the most pointless, futile things in cricket.
So Gorvin, a chastening day, really. Did claim the 1 wicket with the ball, but
2 balls, was it?
He's gone second ball, yep.
Yeah.
Dealt with the first one quite nicely. And Glamorgan still with a further 34 deliveries to face in the evening gloom. Now, this looks like Labuschagne from his busyness on the way out the middle. 8 for 2 Glamorgan. Durham on top. And they will get a chance to bowl against Glamorgan's top batsman this evening. 8 for 2 plays 311, and all of a sudden 311 is looking like 400 or 500 on the board. David Lloyd exchanges a word with his overseas star. Labuschagne touches the bails, fiddles around, takes guard from umpire Middlebrook, and Potts is up and at him. He's got 3 slips, he's got a short leg, and if he gets Labuschagne tonight, then Durham's joy will be complete. And Glamorgan will have a long way to go to get themselves back into this game. They already do to a certain extent. As Potts is in to bowl, Taylor outside off stump, and Salter allows it, as Labuschagne allows it to go through. Salter back in the hutch for 4. Gorvin without scoring.
Peter Miller says Glamorgan picked Billy Root after he made 170 as an opener for the second 11, and then still opened with Salter, who scored 131 run in 11 innings.
As Potts bowls, Labuschagne leaves with the usual Zorro-esque flourish of the bat. Yeah, I'm not sure that. I mean, obviously Root did what he could in the conditions, but that Worcestershire second 11 attack had only one name I'd actually heard of, in Pat Brown.
Yeah. He hasn't had many long runs in teams, has he, Billy Root? When you look, it's bits of appearances here and bits of appearances there.
Well, he started seasons well a couple of times for Glamorgan, but then faded by the middle of the season. As Labuschagne gets a single, turning one down to fine leg. Oohs and ahs, they thought he was playing a straight one to leg off his stumps, but got the bat on it.
Labuschagne might be one of the best test batsmen in the world, but can he do it on a Thursday night in Durham?
Now he's shadow batting at the non-striking end. That's the thing with Marnus Labuschagne. If you don't like the stroke he played, then there's always another one being rehearsed and practiced somewhere. David Lloyd back on strike, 9 for 2. As Lloyd pushes, thinks about running, decides against. 9 for 2 then at the end of another wicket, taking over from Matty Potts. Five overs to survive. Glam in the gloom. Applause for Potts as he goes back to his fielding position.
Rush within, left alone by Labuschagne.
Yeah, 311 all out. Glamorgan probably slightly the happier. Situation now, Durham definitely.
Rushworth bowls. Labuschagne leaves that one alone as well.
Okay.
Where do you think Labuschagne would be manufactured then? Like a, not quite a Prosecco, is it? It's not a champagne. Where does it come from? Is it a little Italian village overlooking Switzerland or something?
Well, it's how he explains it to people. Rhymes with champagne. Going for the Aussie version.
He's facing his 6th ball here. He's on 1 run, and now he gets that one away down towards fine leg for 1.
Certainly plenty of fizz there, isn't there? And watching Labuschagne play.
I should be. I wouldn't panic just too yet, but at some point in the near future, in the next 5 minutes, I'll be doing an update in an evening sports show.
Hokey cokey, we'll listen out for that. Well, of course, that's just the Aussie version, Labuschagne, as opposed to the real South African Labuschagne.
Rush balls, and played by Lloyd out to long leg. Potts comes in off the boundary from fine leg, 1 run.
But I think he's generally taken the viewpoint that it's easier to explain Labuschagne rather than Labuschagne.
Is that how they say it in South Africa?
Approximately.
Yeah. 2 balls left of this over. Rush with balls. The South African slash Aussie looks to turn it through the leg side and hits him in the thigh pad and gives him a rest in front.
Yep, 311. I thought on this pitch was on the low side of par.
Could still be, yeah. It's just a tricky spell to see out tonight in difficult conditions with this slide. Rush with balls. Playing off towards square leg for 1.
I suppose if you put it in context that then Glamorgan have lost a night watchman and an opener who's really doing a stopgap job as best he can and hasn't made many anyway.
You might look at it and think, well, not really surprised.
Still got the informed Northeast, dangerous Carlson, experienced Chris Cook and Billy Root as an extra batter to come.
Now the punters are getting up out of their seats.
They've had enough.
You're geeing them up again,
oh, right.
Nick. You know?
Thought you meant the crowd were leaving, but they shouldn't be, because they got the chance to see Labuschagne bat for the final, what's likely to be, I suspect, his final red ball game of the season for Glamorgan. Huge international demands. Potts is in to bowl, and Labuschagne defends one that keeps a little bit low.
They've got a replacement lined up.
We've got one already in Wales, as Colin Ingram's already living over here. So he hit a little 47 not out for the seconds this week to keep himself in practice. Be interesting to see who is selected out of the 3 overseas available for the start of the T20 campaign. Well, Labuschagne's still here. Durham seem to be trying to get a message through to someone maybe standing on the top balcony overhead, sir. Very strange. Ben Stokes appeared to be shouting to someone up above. Anyway, all is now clear, and Potts is into bowl, down leg side. Labuschagne tries to turn it, but doesn't get anything on it.
Shouting up for some pads to be brought down, maybe?
I don't know, I thought he was gesturing that someone maybe in our building.
Just out in our building? Oh.
Look that way, but...
well, there is a gantry along the far end where photographers sometimes go and camera people, so there might be somebody up there that's outdoors which could get in the line of sight.
As Potts is in to Labuschagne, 3 slips lurking. Labuschagne plays that one to point, and there's no run. Stokes has got possibly the most optimistically worn sun hat of the day on.
There's a cameraman right on the roof as well, but they wouldn't be in the line of sight. The only thing I can think is maybe somebody's walking across the top of the press room and just caught the eye of the batsman, but why you'd be looking up there when the bowler's already down here, I don't know.
Looked just like a stay still sort of gesture from Stokes, if I'm reading him right. Potts is in, and that's defended on the offside by Labuschagne. No run.
In September 2019, we were down in London at Lord's, and I was commentating. We were in the corner in the Warner stand because they were knocking down the 2 stands either side of the media centre. There were flashing lights all the time, diggers and lorries going beep, beep, beep. You could see quite a lot of what was going on behind the fence at the far end. Darwin Milan never batted an eye about it at all.
Potts is into bowl to Labuschagne, turns on the leg side. That's beaten mid-wicket, and it'll be racing away to the ropes in front of the scoreboard, away to our right on the castle side of the ground. And it's one to retrieve from underneath the covers. A great job there for Alex Lees. No, it's gone past that as well. Has he spotted it? No, he's going to have to do a bit of...
6 sets of covers there, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6.
He's got it fairly quickly anyway. 16 for 2, Glamorgan, in reply to 311 all out.
Yeah, Marnus Lavish, Darwin Milan, not bothered at all by the diggers, the lorries, the noise. Came here in an empty stadium during lockdown. We had to have our windows open by decree. And part of the way through his innings, he decided he wanted our window shut.
Yeah.
Even though he shouldn't have been looking in the direction of our window.
Potts is into ball to Labuschagne, who defends. No run.
So then followed a standoff where I said, no, we've been instructed by the ECB, we have to have the window open.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because he's a left-hander, isn't he? And why he would be looking towards the window on my left when they were playing right down the bottom of the square, I've got no idea. So I just thought, no, health and safety, we've been instructed the windows must remain open, so they stay open. But not before somebody was sent up at the behest of the batsman to have a word.
As long as they didn't carry their bat with them to make the point.
3 overs to go. Rushworth from the Lumley end, right on over here, bowling to Lloyd. Lloyd forward in that one. Plays it out into short extra cover to Ben Stokes. Bernard says, Potts taking wickets is a good comment this season. He said, I was eating my meal of pork sausages and roast potatoes as the Durham innings fell away, but 2 wickets is the start, although one of them was the night watchman. Rushworth in, that's cut off the back foot and away through the covers for 4. I think they'll be coming to us shortly.
Smashing short from David Lloyd, who's keen to hit the ball hard in most circumstances.
5 Live Sports joined us again, and I can hear output from Radio Newcastle, so we'll...
All sorts of people. They're here for Marnus Labuschagne, who's at the far end in the gloom. Glamorgan struggle at 20 for 2.
Update for Total Sport now as Rushworth comes in and bowls through to the keeper, left alone by Lloyd. Yes, he made today 82 runs in a very sedate 110 balls, and it only included 2 sixes, but he's still equalled a Durham record in those 2 sixes, as he has now scored as many sixes this season as John Morris did in 1994, 19. So he's a joint club record holder. Morris did that across the entire season though, and Stokes has done it in the 2 innings. But he played well today. He was a bit more cautious, picked his shots, but the 2 sixes came from Marnus Labuschagne, the Aussie, who started seam bowling in this game after replacing Tim van der Houten, who went off injured, and then changed his mind and started bowling some leg spin instead, and Stokes lifted 2 big slog sweep shots through mid-wicket and into the pavilion for 6. Durham, though, having been put in, all out for 311. I think they left a few runs out there. Michael Hogan, who's 40 and retires at the end of this year, took 4 for 67. Durham had some good starts with the bat. Alex Lees was on 44 when he dragged the ball from David Lloyd onto his leg stump. Peterson was on 78, his highest score for Durham, when he played a lazy shot and got caught in slips. There was a bit of a false shot from Scott Borthwick when he was on 17, he was caught at mid-on. So lots of batsmen getting in, giving themselves starts. Quite a few got into the 20s and then getting themselves out. So Durham all out for 311, and that did give them, though, the chance for 9 overs. At the end of the day's play. Gloomy conditions here in Chesley Street. We've got a lot of grey cloud cover. The floodlights have been on for some time now, and they've got 2 wickets on the board already. We have 2 overs to go. Glamorgan are 22 for 2. They've lost Andrew Salter, their out-of-form opener. He was caught by Sean Dixon off Matty Potts for 4 when a ball came up off the shoulder of the bat and looped out towards point. And then Andy Gorvin, the night watchman, the futility of the night watchman, he got a second ball, duck LBW to Matty Potts as well. Potts now has 26 wickets for the season. He's knocking on England's door. He's already on their radar. He's the leading wicket taker in the country. So 2 overs to go tonight. Glamorgan 22 for 2 after bowling Durham out earlier for 311.
So it is Matty Potts with both wickets to fall so far. Can he claim the prize scalp of Marnus Labuschagne in what is likely to be his last championship match of the season, as Potts is in to bowl and Labuschagne defends to rein at mid-on, and there's no run. 4 slips now for Matty Potts. Glamorgan with a lot of work to do on day 2. Having won the toss and chosen to bowl, 311 all out, looked at a reasonable position as far as Glamorgan were concerned, thanks to the efforts of Hogan with 4 wickets and Michael Niso with 2 leading the attack. as that's pulled by Labuschagne through mid-wicket, and that'll be 4 runs. Running down to the County Durham stand just to our right. The floodlights really now in full effect. And Glamorgan with 10 balls of the evening to see off. Having lost Salter for 4 and night watchman Andy Gorvin without scoring. And Gorvin probably doing the night watchman duty only because the regular performer in that role, Tim van der Hoogden, went off with a hamstring injury while bowling, so we don't expect him to be with the ball maybe again in this match. This is an exceptionally minor niggle. Glamorgan a bit light on bowling as Potts bowls and Labuschagne plays to mid-wicket, and there's no run. So Ben Stokes won his little battle with Labuschagne earlier by smashing him for a couple of sixes. Big hits they were. Slog sweeps over mid-wicket. Also hit 8 fours, but there's plenty of defence as well. It was by no means a carbon copy of last week at Worcester, as Potts is in to bowl and defended by Labuschagne back to the bowler, and there's no run. So Hogan doing what he's done so often over the years in leading the Glamorgan attack in style. It's his last season after this testimonial year, but still doing an excellent job. Potts is into Labuschagne, who drives down the ground, beats mid-on. 4 more runs to Labuschagne, who moved quickly on to 16 after 20 deliveries. And that is his 3rd boundary. So apart from Stokes' 82, Keegan Peterson hit 78 off 123 balls. Alex Lees batted through the Durham innings in Cardiff for 180 odds. He was out for 44. And Durham kept having stands of 40, 50, 60, but not really able to cash in with the bat. They have cashed in with the ball. Durham just about scrambling the 3rd batting point, thanks to the last wicket pair of Potts and Rushworth. And Pott doing a fine job with the ball, as that's through outside, off stump. Labuschagne playing no shot. That will be the last delivery bowled by Potts this evening. He finishes with 2 for 18. 1 over to go. Glamorgan 30 for 2 in reply to Durham's 311 all-outs.
Somebody's in the bottle bin looking for the returnees. Paul says, glad that I specified the vacant 3rd man would be a pub offering real ales. Surely there should be 12 hand pumps, 11 operational, 1 on water or cleaner. 4 decor, plain grass, green up to a dado of Toblerone boundary with pictures of customers above it.
Right.
A dado of Toblerone boundary. Interesting.
Well, they refer to the wedges as Toblerone style, don't they? The boundary wedges, and get that.
Rushworth coming in to finish off the day's proceedings, bowling to Lloyd, who plays the ball to point. Ben Rain, no run there. And a few people starting to drift towards the exits now, before there'll be a mad rush out the car park in a minute. Big excitement the other day at Worcester when they announced that the Ladies Pavilion cake sale was on. The sheer lack of speed in those who darted for the entrance. It was like watching them in slow motion trying to pick their way gingerly up the steps. Rushworth again comes in and bowls, and Lloyd helps that on its way out towards long leg for 1. I think we should have a bit of sunlight tomorrow, more than we've had today. It's been a breezy, chilly day though here in Chester Street today. Stiff westerly wind. Temperature has just dipped a couple, 2 or 3 degrees today. Hope you've enjoyed your commentary. Apologies for the live video feed. Hopefully it's better tomorrow. They're going to switch computers apparently, but just when you think it's all hunky-dory, something always comes along gremlin-like in the system. Sean Dixon is being moved by Scott Borthwick towards a indeterminate leg position. He started off a roundabout short leg, then was told to move back towards square leg, but not all the way back. He's now gone in towards a short wicket, and they've moved mid-wicket to square leg. 3 slips in place. Ben Stokes seems to be ordering people around here. And now Lees and Dixon switch places again. But Dixon's still not at square leg as such, or he's a short square leg. Not quite a short leg, but he's in front of where you would normally see square leg. As Rushworth bowls, and Labuschagne plays and misses at that one. Beats the outside edge of the bat and nestles in the keeper's mitts.
I think at 8 for 2, if Glamorgan do manage to close without further loss in these next 3 deliveries, they'll be thankful that no further damage was inflicted. But Rushworth will have other ideas.
Rushworth in, bowls. Labuschagne drives to Stokes in the covers. One bounce into his hands, no run. Rushworth comes in, bowls. Oh, leave by Labuschagne, who then collapses down on one knee, questioning his decision making, and he angles in and just misses the bail on the off stump. The keeper standing up as well.
You're never far from a dramatic gesture with Marnus Labuschagne anywhere near proceedings.
That was a good delivery though. Just nipped back as he was leaving it. 1 ball to go today here on BBC Radio Newcastle, BBC Radio Wales. We'll be back with you 11:15 tomorrow with a build-up to day 2, and we'll play in tonight's interviews. As Rushworth comes in and bowls, Labuschagne blocks, and that is the day's play. So 32 for 1. And that is after 9 overs.
1 for 2.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think you got the 1 and the 2 transposed there briefly.
So Labuschagne has 16. And Lloyd has 8, and Potts has taken 2 for 18.
Well, Durham end the day with their noses in front after claiming those couple of wickets. 311 was probably a touch below. Reasonable effort from the Glamorgan bowlers, led by Michael Hogan. Keegan Peterson, 78, Ben Stokes, 82, showing their international class. And Stokes following up, of course, his 161 at Worcester. Not in the same manner, but possibly a little bit more tested today.
Trail by 280. Right, we leave it there today. Thanks very much for joining us. Remember, tomorrow morning, they're 11:15, and we'll have a post-match action we get today. We will play in the CEA tomorrow morning before play gets underway again at 11. The weather's set fair for the next few days, so we shouldn't have any interruptions. Fingers crossed. So we'll bid you farewell just as the floodlights are turned off. Save the electricity. Costs a fortune these days. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
You'll start.